Hey everyone, the Talking Dads podcast is brought to you by Little Scholars Early Learning Center. Whether your family needs infant care, a preschool program, or before and after school care, Little Scholars' highly rated Step Up to Quality programs provide quality early childhood education at an affordable price. Visit www.littlescholars.net to get in contact with an enrollment specialist and schedule a tour of any of their 5 Lake County campuses. Here's the deal. Talking Dads fans are getting a little bonus. Mention that you heard about them through our podcast, and when you tour, and you'll receive $25 off of your registration fee. Again, that's Little Scholars Early Learning Center, where children learn, play, and grow together. We are also brought to you by Pub Fredo Gastropub. Pub Fredo was voted Best Gastropub in Cleveland in 2019 by Cleveland Magazine Silver Spoon Awards. We love Pub Fredo. Their menu is chef-inspired, always pushing the limits of traditional pub fare. The other night I had a burger, I believe it was called the Pub Burger. It was incredible. Cooked perfectly. It was amazing. And you won't have a problem pairing your favorite item on the menu with their great selection of local craft beers, crafted cocktails, and of course, an amazing bourbon and whiskey selection. I went with the Bullet 10-year with my Pub Burger. All of this in a cozy, fun, come-as-you-are atmosphere. You can check them out at pubfredo.com and on Facebook and Instagram at PubFredo Gastropub.
We are also brought to you by Marky Fresh Barbershop in Menor, Ohio.
Bro, I love Marky Fresh.
It's the best, isn't it?
Dude, I get cut there like every 3 weeks. My kid gets cut there every month
Every
and a
now and
half or
then.
so. Month and a half, 2 months, something like that. They do such a good job.
The environment is phenomenal. Everybody's awesome there.
Can I tell you a secret? I don't
Please.
even give a shit about the haircut. It is so much freaking fun going there.
Just to hang out.
Yeah. I have such
Just have a good time. Every time, man.
Yeah.
You get caught. If you want to be in there, they're fast.
Oh, yeah.
Their whole app, everything, booking to get in,
so
it's so
easy.
convenient and easy, but you get caught up
Oh, yeah.
because you just want to hang out and talk with these guys.
You know what the word is? Shenanigans.
Shenanigans.
So many shenanigans.
You don't want to leave.
It's so much fun. But honestly, they do a fantastic job.
They really do.
I look way better when I leave than when I get in
You
there.
really do.
I know.
So, yeah, Marky Fresh.
Yeah, book at markyfresh.com.
Book, get in, stay fresh.
Hey everyone, happy Friday, and thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Talking Dads. This episode features our good friend Pete Velotta coming in studio for the second time to talk to us about all things dad. We talked COVID vaccines, we talked minding your own business in the parking lot. That was fun. And then we talked generational bias, and we got into some dad hacks, including some bedtime routine stuff. It was pretty good. So we had a great time as usual. He brought us some good whiskey. Just had a blast. Please enjoy. Tell all your friends about it. Let us know what you think, and have a wonderful weekend.
In a world where moms continue to dominate parenting authority and a father's role is minimized in society, 2 dads take on the toughest parenting topics on a weekly basis, all while drinking bourbon. They are the Talking Dads.
I'll get in the shower, and I'll start off with it warm, or like hot, and I'll just slowly start turning it down lower and lower. Like, not to, like, I don't just flip it real quick, and then, like, get that crazy, like, heart-stopping shock. Like, you know that, like, you get that, it takes your breath away.
yeah.
So I slowly start making it cooler and cooler, then I get it to, like, cold. And it does still do that where it takes your breath away, but it's not as bad. And then I just do that for, like, 5 minutes, and I'm like, okay. And I'm awake. It's a breathing thing, too. It's like the whole mind over matter thing.
Right.
You know, else I've been doing is early in the morning is I let the dog out and I stand on the front step and it's cement. So I'll just stand there at my bare feet after working out, and I just stand out there and I just close my eyes, arms folded, and I just stand there and just sit there in the cold, and I'm like,
Do you try and get your feet flat?
it's hard.
I do the same exact.
So you start like
so weird. You
so
just said that.
Yeah, because you start doing like the edge of your feet, like
Yep.
you know, like stand
Well,
on
you're
the
like
side.
on your tiptoes.
Yeah, because it hurts.
Yeah, 'cause it's freezing.
It's cold. Yeah, like especially yesterday I did it and it was snowing.
Yeah.
And I'm standing out there. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, Teddy, please hurry. And he's peeing.
Come on, dog.
And he's just sitting out there peeing and peeing. I'm like, dude, you gotta hurry up. Cause I'm like, I'm trying to tough this out. Like I'm trying to do this for me. But it's so weird though, because I'm the same way. Like I can't get my feet flat. I'm
Yeah.
trying to get my mind around it.
I do that to try and take my mind off of the fact that it's freezing.
Yeah.
I'll be like, all right,
good.
like make my feet completely flat. I don't know, it's weird.
But I'm sitting out there, I'm like, mind over matter. Come on, tough it out.
So
It's
I
like
do
30
the opposite
seconds.
with the shower.
You go cold to hot.
Yeah, so first thing I do, it's probably too much information, but
No, let's talk about you in the shower.
I like take a shit first thing in the morning. Like
Okay.
wake up, let the dog out, and it's usually bare feet outside, right? And then I come inside and I take a dump, and then I turn the shower on, and it kind of forces me to go quickly, right? But I put it on cold water, and I have to like psych myself up. I'm like, all right, done, flush, jump in the shower, jump right in, and then after I get that shock, then I turn the hot water on. By the time that it takes to get to warm, that gives me enough time to be like, all right, I'm awake.
Yeah, that's cool.
I do that because there was when I was in the Marine Corps, we did this training exercise in Korea, and there's tons of military bases in Korea. We did not stay on one. We stayed on this pier. It was like a shipping pier, and it's like day 2. So we're in like tents, not like big tents though, like barrack style tents. So there's a bunch of people in there. And day 2, this typhoon comes in, and legitimately we're underwater. Like if you were sleeping on the ground, you were underwater. Like our cots kind of made it to where we were okay, but a couple inches of water. And anyways, that knocked out the generator that was pumping hot water into our like makeshift shower shack. And that never got fixed.
So you're thinking cold showers.
CBs came in and like built us a deck so that we were all good. We weren't sleeping in water, but we had no hot water for 30 something days.
Oh wow!
And so like,
Dude, I haven't had like
It was just
where I
cold
didn't have the
showers.
option for like hot water. Like, we're all spoiled here. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
First
think
world
about that.
problems.
Like when you have like the hot water tank's not working or something, you're like, I got to tough this out. And it sucks, but you do it. It's a quick shower.
Dude, my hot water tank went out during the winter. The vent on the roof. And
Oh,
our
yeah, I remember that.
apartment,
Yeah.
like, was covered, and so the hot water tank, just as a safety feature, doesn't turn on. And the first day, just didn't shower. Second day, I was like, all right, well, I got to shower. So
Yeah.
we went over to Chelsea's parents' house, and we all showered there. like there was no taking a cold shower.
Yeah, like, no, I'm not doing it, man. It sucks, man.
Yeah.
It's miserable to take a cold shower.
And actually, that's what got me back into doing the cold showers thing. I was like, what a pussy I've become that I can't do this.
Do you know when I started doing it all the time was when I was at the gym.
Oh, yeah.
Because I had to go to work after I was at the gym. So like I'm sweating my ass off.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, and then if you're in the middle of the summer, so it's like June and you can't cool down. Like, and I'm like
mid-June, would you
I'd say about mid-June at my peak performance,
Yeah.
like, so I'm like sweating my ass off. That's the only way I could cool down.
Yeah.
Because getting dressed in like work clothes and then going to work, like sweating your ass off. Like, so I
Sure.
would take a cold shower just to get my
Your core temperature
get
down.
my core temperature
It's really
down.
good for your skin, too.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I'll see. We're learning today.
So, well, I don't know if this is true. I just read it somewhere.
The hot water dries you out or something.
Yeah, the hot water dries you out. The cold water opens up your pores because it
I thought it was the opposite.
Well, I think if you go from cold to hot,
okay.
I think that's what it is.
Because I know like when you
bad. Cold
shave,
to hot.
Is
bad.
good. No, is well. I mean, anything extreme is not going to be great for you, but like, I think water temperature that you can get in your home is going to be okay. I think.
do you think you
I don't
could?
know.
Do you think you could swim in like ice cold water?
Oh,
Have you ever tried it?
You could have just said, "Do you think you could swim?" Sounds exhausting.
It does. It really does.
I don't know. Whenever I try to even get in a pool, like
And it's cold.
it's cold and it's inching towards your nuts.
Oh,
yeah.
dude, yeah, like that,
Oh,
like
yeah.
you're on the ladder. You're like, you just gotta jump. You just gotta jump, man. Getting past that point, you're like, you just gotta jump. You gotta go down.
That threshold is there, man.
It is. It's real. It's tough, man. Well, I was gonna say the reason I asked that is because I was driving the kids to Patterson's one day, and I took River Road. Is that it? Yeah. So you go past Squires, and there's a road that cuts over, and you go over the river, and there's this couple, and it's probably like October, maybe no, it was probably like November actually. It was cold, and I looked down in the river, and there's this couple down there, and they're swimming in the river. Swimming. I mean, it was cold, man. It was like 40 degrees outside.
There's a ton of people that do.
They
the
do
cold
that
water
shit,
immersion
man.
Stuff, yeah.
And I just see them, and they get out, and I'm like, I told the kids, I'm like, I got to turn around. I got to take a Snapchat of this. I'm like, I have to. So I go back, and then they get out. The girl's she's in a bathing suit. The dude's just like doing the backstroke. like it's the middle of summer, and she gets out, she grabs a towel off, barefoot, walking around on these rocks, and it's 40 degrees outside. And she just jumps out like no big deal. I'm like, looking at that.
Hey, man.
Good for you. I can't do it. I'd have a heart attack.
Yeah, I don't know if I mean...
It's like that polar plunge
I could
thing,
do
right?
it if I really wanted to.
That's exactly like.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you wanted to, or if it was like, I don't know. Maybe if that
you
was like,
dared me.
if your wife was into that and you're like,
you
all right, how do you want to head to the river? I'm like, yeah, it's November. Let's do it. Can't wait. This is awesome. I'm glad we got married.
It's your
Triple
method,
dared
it's your
me, I would
method
do
for
it.
picking up girls. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, that
cold
too.
Water stuff.
Like, check this out, man.
Watch this.
Yeah. She's like, wow, it's really impressive.
You get the George Costanza.
Yeah, you're like,
The
I was
water
in the
cold.
pool. I was in the pool.
Oh, man.
All right. Well, before we get into
Yeah.
cold water and shrinkage, let's talk about.
Are we rolling?
Well, yeah, we're rolling, man.
There's the episode title.
Yeah.
Cold water
There's
and
the episode.
shrinkage.
Let's just wrap it up now.
Let's go. Pete, good to see you, man. Thanks.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, good to see you guys too. Good to
So
be here.
welcome back.
I'm honored to be back. I'm
happy
really
to
humbled
have
to
you,
be
man.
Good to
back.
see you.
Thank you. It's good to see you too. I can't
when-
believe 2 times.
When were you here?
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. How long ago was that?
Either late September or October.
That sounds right. Yeah, it was like last fall sometime.
It's starting to get chilly out.
Yeah.
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 I think it was October.
Okay.
Sounds right. Yeah, because I remember talking about our 10-year anniversary, and that was October.
There you go.
There
So
you go.
that
Good
was-
man. Good man.
Yeah, thanks for coming back in and
my pleasure. You're
bringing
welcome.
some booze for us. This is
So
this
it's-
is really
it's-
tasty.
You guys tasting cinnamon in this or something, or like a spice? Maybe it's the COVID shot, man. I don't know. Maybe I'm all screwed up.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about the COVID shot too.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
I get a lot of oak.
It's a lot lighter than I expected to be. I mean, it's a young bourbon. It's only 5
Yeah,
years
sure.
old.
It's not that young. I mean, it's young, but it's not like you taste cinnamon.
Okay, you know what? I'm not talking. I'm not even.
It's. I think that's probably the char on it. Maybe I don't know. If you taste cinnamon, you taste cinnamon. It's okay.
Spice.
They don't
don't-
give a description of what
I
to
don't
look
get a
for
lot.
on here.
Well, damn it.
Yeah.
See? See, it's the shot is screwing me up, man. It's got my taste all screwed up.
I like it because it doesn't light you on fire. It's not a
I
hot
can
one.
No,
see
no,
where
it's-
you're getting it.
A little bit.
This could,
maybe.
this could be an everyday drinker.
Yeah, for sure.
for sure.
It's it is tasty.
I can see where you're getting it.
Thanks, man. Thanks for making me feel better.
No. Now that I'm trying to taste it, yeah, there's maybe a little spice.
Yeah, when
in
you're
there.
looking for it.
Like a hot disc or whatever they're called.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, like
The end
the
of it.
yeah, it's there. Come on, guys. So Pete, what's going on, man? Tell us, give us a little dad profile. Since I can't, my tastes are all off, and I'm gonna.
we will get
lose
into
my
that
mind.
for sure. But definitely, Pete, tell all the new millions and millions of listeners that have joined us since the last time you were on.
Yes.
Who you are, what you're all about, what makes you a dad.
All right, we'll give you the cliff notes just for, and I'm sure there was a million hits on our first episode.
I think 2
Damn
million.
straight,
Yeah.
man.
2 million,
at
maybe.
least.
Yeah. So my name is Pete Velotta. I'm from originally from Chesterland. I'm an East Sider now. 2 kids, a boy and a girl, 9 and 6. The world revolves around them, you know, and we do everything we can to make sure they reach their full potential. And it's really, you know, it's a whole new devotion for the kids. And
Sure.
it's been the. Oh, there's one.
There's one.
I
He's-
Oh shit! Already, he knows.
And,
Welcome back.
yeah, thank you so much.
Is mine up all the way? I'm thinking about it.
I got mine up. Yeah.
for
No,
you,
that's
man.
very cool. If I, oh, jeez, we're a mess.
We are a mess today.
Jeez, get it together, fellas.
Damn it! I was on video.
But yeah, it's really great that we, you know, built a friendship since the last
Yeah.
time being on here. So it's a pleasure to knowing you guys.
It's
meeting
very
you.
cool. I mean, Steve and I have said it multiple times. The best part about doing this show is the guys that we get to meet. You know.
Yeah, building that relationship and keeping it, and
Yeah,
it's been a lot of fun,
It's just
man.
really cool. I mean, we talk whiskey, we talk, you know, whatever, journaling, you know, whatever it is.
funny memes, whatever we send each other
Yeah,
texts. It's great.
Right. Like I think though the 3 of us were on a collision course in the cosmos though, because if we know so many similar people.
Yeah,
Right.
true.
Our wives worked together for a
Yeah,
decade.
I know. It was funny too because I remember the first time when we had you on. I'm like, yeah, Pete's coming on. She's like, what? I said, you know, Jen's husband's coming on. She's like, oh, Pete's coming on. She's like you guys like know each other. I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, he's just the nicest guy. I'm like, she's like, I only met him like I don't even know how many times you guys met, but she's like, he's the nicest guy ever. I'm like, all right, we'll see. Sounds like an asshole.
Right.
No, but you're a great guy.
Up to the asshole part.
No, but dude, I mean, the guy comes in today with a bottle and then some dried sausage.
Yeah,
It's like, oh man,
I hope you guys
this
enjoy
guy.
it.
It's exciting. Yeah, no, it's very cool that we get to do this, and you know, we've gotten. This is episode 97.
Ooh, almost to the centennial.
Yeah, we're
almost to
getting
the
close,
centennial.
man.
So
We're getting
97.
close.
So that's roughly. I don't know. What do you think? 70 or 80 some different dads.
Yeah, that's that's
Something
pretty
like
crazy, actually. Yeah.
And I'm super flattered for being on here twice. Like,
It's amazing. Yeah, I
Happy to
appreciate
have you
it.
back,
It's
man.
really cool.
Don't mind me.
All right, so let's get into this because I feel like we need to get it out of the way. Steve is drowsy.
He is drowsy.
Pete, you are on the road to being drowsy.
I got my
You're
shots
okay
today.
right now.
I'm okay today.
But COVID shots. I had my first one 3 weeks ago.
And I remember you because you came on like what the day after.
No, I had mine on a Tuesday.
Okay, because I remember you saying you were. Sure, we didn't have something after that. I don't know, whatever.
Who knows?
I just remember you being exhausted one night. I thought that was after your shot.
You know what it was? That was that random Wednesday night show that we did, I think.
Okay.
Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah,
because I remember you were
that
like,
makes
oh,
sense.
dude, you're gonna have to carry this. I'm like, yeah.
Okay. But yeah, no. So, Steve, how are you feeling, buddy?
Really tired. I've had a headache all day, and I don't know if
like
it's
a hangover tired.
yeah, it feels like a hangover, and I don't feel sick. Right, I just feel like uncomfortable in my own body,
Yeah.
and I don't know
achy?
a little bit, just a
Yeah.
little bit. Not like you feel when you have the flu, like that
Right.
hot and cold, like that fever type feeling,
chills, yeah.
chills and all that shit. It's just exhausted. I told Ian earlier, I'm like, dude, I woke up at 5 this morning. I got up and I walked into the kitchen. I go, nah, fuck this. Went straight to bed. Woke up 2 hours later. Then I'm, rushing to get to work. But yeah, just off all day. All day. I mean, I've just been out of
I
it.
was grateful we had a holiday today. We were off.
I had a half day, which was good. But then I had to go home and go
Be a dad.
go be a dad. And then we had to go to do a fish fry at my in-laws' house. And then the kids are excited. They're running around. They're like, come on, Dad, let's go outside and play. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so freaking tired. So I'm just exhausted. And the headache's gone, which is nice. And I don't know if that's because of the shot or I just had a bad headache today.
Yeah.
I woke up, I think I slept funny because my neck hurts. So I have a stiff neck. Arm's a little sore, but it feels...
That's just mid-30s, bro.
It's probably the way I feel every day. And I'm just thinking like the placebo effect, right?
Placebo,
I'm thinking I'm like, I got the shot, so I'm going to get sick. But I do feel kind of shitty. But now I'm back. I'm on the show. I had a little sipper here. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm excited.
All right.
Yeah.
I would be lying if I didn't. Wait, how am I going to say this? I would be lying if I didn't think of a backup plan for tomorrow because I go, I'm zone defense all day tomorrow with my kids.
Yeah.
And myself. So I was thinking like, all right, if I do wake up feeling like what you're describing or what people have been mentioning, I got to have a backup plan, but I don't have a backup plan. So
yeah, you're in the same boat as me when it comes to the weekends. Like my wife's working tomorrow, and I have swim class with the kids tomorrow, so it's like
I got cheer.
okay.
So I got to take my daughter to cheer.
I'm like, yeah, I got to go with this crap, and I think tomorrow I should be fine. It sounds like it's like a day thing.
For me, it was like 24 hours almost exactly. Like the first day that I got it, because I got mine in the morning, very at the end of the night before I went to bed, I was like, huh. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to get some good sleep. I went to bed early, which is weird for me. But I didn't feel too bad. I was just more tired. And then the next day I woke up. I was like, ugh, just struggling through the whole day. I mean, I made it through the day. It was fine.
Yeah, because I got mine at 1 yesterday, and I was pretty tired last night. Like I passed out on the couch like around 9:30 last night
Oh, yeah.
because I was watching
Oh, it
Billions.
was later than that.
It was later because I
we were
texted you.
talking.
So it was probably 10 something, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because I woke up on the couch at like 11:30,
Okay.
and I was like, okay, my arm's a little sore, and I was like, no big deal, I feel fine. And then woke up kind of feeling like crap, a little groggy.
I normally go to bed by 10. So right now I'm like actually wide awake. So maybe I'll have maybe the coast is clear.
Maybe
I'm not
you're
drowsy.
all right, man.
Yeah.
It sounds like people don't really get like any type of reaction after the first one.
Yeah, I'm one of those guys that'll fall asleep on a rock.
Yeah.
If I'm drug induced, like from a pharmaceutical shot,
Yeah.
maybe so. Fingers crossed, I'll be on the path.
Yeah, I mean, even with mine though, the next day after that, I was completely fine. I remember waking up being like, "Oh, okay, I'm good."
Yeah. So you went to, where'd you go for yours?
I went out to Perry. Shout out to BJ No,
Oh, yeah, that's right. He gave you the shot.
our buddy. Actually, was the paramedic that gave me my shot, so that was pretty cool.
I went to
Yeah.
Cleveland State.
You were at
Cleveland State. Yeah.
And you went to
CVS.
CVS?
So,
Okay.
got the Pfizer shot.
That's what I got.
Same here.
So I went there, and the place is pretty packed. And I'm like, all right, well, maybe everybody's getting a shot. So I pull in, and there's like this like shed type thing, and it says
Like a she shed?
no, just like a both gender shed.
Oh, okay.
You know, it has 2 doors.
Binary.
Yeah, binary shed.
Non-binary. Non-binary.
Yeah. So I'm like, this is where I go. So I go up, and it says, if you do not have an appointment, don't come in. I'm like, well, I have an appointment. So I knock on the door, and I hear this lady go, yes. And I'm like, hi, just have an appointment. She opens the door, and she's wearing like complete plastic,
Hazmat suit kind of.
pretty
Really?
much.
From like ET.
And she goes, hi. And I'm like, I have a appointment for my shot. She goes, go inside. I'm like,
Oh, my.
hey. I'm like, what the hell's that thing? So that must be for COVID tests.
Oh.
Right? I didn't know that.
Is it the shed that's in the parking lot?
Yeah.
Because the one by me at Richmond and Mayfield has that shed.
Yeah.
And I think
There's
that's
2 women in there, and they're all completely covered. I'm like, sorry. I'm like, great. So then I go in, and I get in line, and it just says COVID vaccine line. I'm like, all right. So I get in there, and he goes, did you sign it? I'm like, not yet. So he goes, you have to go over there. So I go over there, and I go to sign in. I'm like, hi, here, I have a 1 o'clock appointment. She's like, did you sign up front? I'm like, no. She goes, we have to go up front. So I have to go back up front. There's a dude following me the whole time. He's like, I don't know, man. He's like, I did the same thing. So he's just following me around. Go up front, sign in. And it's all very smooth after that. But the signage there was not good. And the place
Really?
was so packed. So, I mean, you walk in, and the first thing you do, and like it says, you have the text message. It says, when you get here, sign in. So I did. And it says, go back to the pharmacy. It doesn't say, like, sign in at the door.
Right.
So, whatever, get the shot. And that was very simple. It was very quick. You guys know.
Yeah,
Like, it was like,
yeah.
it didn't even feel like they did anything. Then he goes, hey, hang out here for 15 minutes. I'm like, all right. So I'm walking around, and I'm browsing.
Yeah.
And my mom calls, and I'm talking to her. And she's like, well, you probably don't need to stay. You're probably fine. I'm like, yeah, I feel okay. I'm like, I got to get out of here anyway. In my hands, I have a set of waterproof playing cards, like some candy and like some like vitamins. And I'm like
Just
walking
so
around like I'm
bored.
shopping. I'm like, you're
That's
right, Mom.
actually
I'm like, I got to
genius.
get out of here. So I put everything back. I'm like, I'm leaving. And the lady like that checked me in. She's like, well, has it been 15 minutes? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I just left. I'm like, I felt okay. I wasn't going to pass out or anything.
at Cleveland State, they had a Jumbotron with the time, and it was clicking. And there was a sign under there, set your timer. So I set my timer on my phone, just to give me a baseline. But there were so many rows of people that you could judge, like, all right, these people are getting up. You know, you're you're getting close to. But I got there. My appointment was at 11:30. Text message, email, the whole good stuff, you know. And then when I got there, I was like, man, what did I get myself into? Because the parking lot was insane.
Yeah.
They moved everyone into the parking garage. I found a parking spot. I get in. I walk in at like 10:55 now. And they all, you know, they're checking you in to take your temperature. Then they tell you, all right, follow these green arrows. You follow the green arrows. Next checkpoint. And then you either keep going, or I think they asked me one more time, like, where you needed to be. It was all National Guard folks, and they moved you in, went down the stairs, they're clicking how many people are walking in the building. And once you get into the auditorium or gym or whatever, where the Vikings play basketball, there's just rows and columns of just chairs. And they're like,
It's like a movie, man. It's like Outbreak. Like you got the military guys there, like National Guards there telling you what to do.
Go to the end, not this end. The second. I'm like, okay. So we just keep walking down, and I
so
sit down.
eerie, man. Like CVS was just like you're going to like Minute Clinic and you're just in and out real quick.
And they're all in their fatigues, and they come up and they ask you, one person comes with the iPad, asks you like some preliminary questions. He walks behind you. Here comes the girl with the cart, like on an airplane.
Really?
Pull up your sleeve, boom, Band-Aid, wait 15 minutes.
I didn't get a Band-Aid, by the way.
I walked out of there I think I got in my car at 11:30. And all that walking through the place and with the shot in and out in like 35 minutes.
My
Well-oiled
experience
machine,
was
man.
so different. So different. Now, to be fair, I got mine early because childcare professionals were allowed to go before everyone else was allowed to get them. But like, dude, like I walked into the community center like right at my time, and they were like, "Hey, did you check in?" I'm like, "No." I was trying to like pull it up on my phone. She's like, "What's your name, honey? I got you." And she's like, on her iPad or whatever, checked me in. She's like, "All right, go see one of them." And it's just a bunch of paramedics. And they're like, "Hey, man, what's going on?" I'm like, "Nothing." They're like, "Pick a seat." And there's just like open seats where there's people ready to give shots.
Yeah.
And they're like, "All right, you're so-and-so. Yep, here's your card. Sign it. And like once they gave me the card, they gave me the shot, and I didn't even know. And then
I mean, like
we walked over to a waiting room, and like
I didn't like watch the shot go in.
I didn't either.
Like, cause I sometimes I feel like I might tense up or something, so I just kind of like look straight ahead. I don't know if it's like now that I'm older, I'm like more queasy about things or something like that. I don't really, or I don't know. But I didn't really watch. I could see him like out of the, like, you know, the periffs over here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but it didn't really.
Periffs.
I didn't feel anything. And then he goes, he like wipes it, and then he goes, "All right, see ya." I'm like, "Oh, no Band-Aid or anything. I guess I didn't bleed. Good to go." So,
Nobody
yeah,
makes me bleed my own blood.
I just don't bleed. I'm like, I think the needle broke is what happened when they hit my skin. And he's like, "Oh, so."
And they had
it's like
the needle broke. Is it?
Yeah, because like, you know,
What
I can get
movie
through
is
my
that?
skin.
It's got to be from like an Arnold or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
it's one of the. Is it the first? Is it like the Christopher Reeves movies? No,
Like
I
the
don't-
Man
I
of
don't
Steel?
remember. Yeah, Or,
Maybe.
Superman.
one of the Superman. I don't know where they bring him to the hospital and they try and like put an IV in him or something like that, and the needle breaks, and they're like, I don't know,
Yeah, it was me.
whatever.
It was a movie about my life.
At the Cleveland State too is they, with the National Guard folks, they had translators. So they had, you know, Arabic, Spanish, French, and they had their country that they
Could translate for.
translate for with different color vests. So you had
Wow.
so all the people in their army gear had some had like vests for security, some had vests for the people doing the shot.
Medical,
Other
yeah.
people were just, you know, they're shooting.
Yeah. Fatigues.
It was just like boom, 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 like a cattle drive in there. Or,
Dude,
or
mine was so chill.
slaughterhouse. I don't know.
Except for somebody passed out, you said.
Yes. So when I was in the waiting room, and you know they tell you to wait 15 minutes, and my wife had an appointment at the same time, so we're sitting there, and we're like, all right, 15 minutes or whatever, and we're just like talking, and then maybe 5 minutes into it, this lady, she's probably in her 60s or 70s, but very. I don't want to say that she was definitely being dramatic, but she looked like she was being dramatic. I
Yeah.
mean, the whole like.
Theatrical.
Yeah, like hand over her forehead, and her leg like started twitching and stuff like that. And there's these paramedics that are like, "Ma'am, you're okay. You've been here for 30 minutes. Like it's you're
Time to leave.
yeah." And I mean they're checking her out.
Well, yeah, to
you
make
know,
sure everything's okay
but
for
they're
real.
like, literally, you're fine.
Yeah.
Come on, let's walk around. You know, they're giving her like a cookie or something like that, and I don't know.
It's like she was drawing blood, like,
Right,
you know what I
right.
mean? Like,
And so me and my wife look at each other. We're like, yeah, let's get out of here.
There was
So
a
we
lady she was just like, ooh, oh, ooh, like making all
Yeah,
these like fun,
yeah.
not as dramatic as you're saying,
Right.
but she's the only person out of like 600 people in this room
Right.
that's making even above a whisper.
Right, and I get it. It's like a weird thing, right? Like we. This
You-
last
but
year
everybody's
has been
had shots and
insane.
stuff, and-
right?
well, you know what the thing is? Have you seen that video of the guy who comes out after getting shot and he starts acting like a zombie?
Yeah,
He walks out of the clinic and he like walks out. He's like, "Ugh," he starts walking. He like runs into the door and he walks out like onto the sidewalk. And his buddy's taking a video of him
I
from
think that was
inside.
staged.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like for the whole thing. Like,
Oh, no, 'cause the guy
obviously he was doing
outside-
it
the
on
guy
purpose.
outside, like-
I know. I wonder if that guy was part.
I don't
of
know,
it,
man, because
though.
this, I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe
But it's hilarious.
It'd be hilarious if you dress up like Teen Wolf walking out of there.
you're like, I'm fine. Got the shot.
Walking around like a primate.
I mean, I was joking around because everybody kept saying like when I come back, because I left work and they're like, Steve's gonna come back as a zombie. So I walked in, I started knocking shit over. I'm like, ugh.
So you should have got some Alka-Seltzer.
Oh, that'd have been so good.
Foam at the mouth.
But like, there's some older guys in my office that had gotten it, and they went somewhere in Menor, and they said that the place they went to, it's off of Hopkins. It's like, you know, like the refueling area, like
Oh yeah,
by the
yeah,
by the dog park.
The dog park, yeah.
And what they did is you drive in, and they take your information, and you don't even get out of the car. They like reach into your car, give you your shot, you just pull through and just leave.
That's how my grandma's was.
Yeah, which is great. I mean, they're doing it like, I mean, it's everywhere. Anywhere you want to get. I mean, obviously, I went to CVS.
Yeah. Well, there was a lot of jokes about Chick-fil-A doing it. That's how they would do it.
They would be the best.
They would be the best.
We've talked about this before. Like, get them into all kinds of different things. Like
Maybe they'll start giving you
USPS. Like, get them in there. Like,
Oh, USPS. They didn't do too hot over the holidays.
that's what I'm saying. Get the
yeah,
Chick-fil-A
get
guys in
Chick-fil-A
there.
to do it. Oh, I thought you meant USPS.
No,
giving
they're
shots. I
they're
was
saying like
eh.
no, they're like get those guys in there
Operational
and
salsa.
like get those kids in there, and that place would have been organized and figured out in no time.
Absolutely.
right.
Chick-fil-A knows what they're doing, man.
They should have got those guys to get the boat, the freight.
the Suez Canal.
Yeah, dude. Can you imagine being the guy that did that?
I mean,
Did you see the backup?
it's so bad. Did you see the Austin Powers
Yes.
meme?
They just put the boat over top of it, going back and forth and hitting the wall. I mean, like the best was the first picture they showed. And they had like that backhoe.
Yeah,
it was like the only
Trying
thing
to dig
working
it
out. It's like that's what you got going on. I'm like, dude.
Like whoever was that operator, like obviously somebody told him to go start digging it out. He's like, oh, like you're gonna become a meme.
You see how many millions of dollars that cost? Like
that was just recently where the boat was turned sideways and blocked.
They're saying like the
everybody from
effect that had on like everything, like how many millions of dollars per minute that was affecting because of all those different things lined up.
Yeah,
shit's already backed up as it is.
Right.
That's already an issue. Like in the business I'm in, like that's a problem.
Sure.
Like a lot of our stuff comes from overseas and things like that. So a lot of like material being held up already. And then you have something like that happen, and then you're like, somebody calls in, you're like, did you see what happened?
Yeah.
That's going to affect our lead times for a while.
Well, you see like the funny videos or whatever of like the kid operating a forklift at Lowe's or something like that, and like knocks a whole pallet of things over. And it's like funny, and you feel bad for the guy, but like this, like you're talking some real consequences.
That's some money, dude.
Yeah.
That captain might go disappear.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if that's me, I'm out.
Yeah,
I'm running a suit. I'm like
done.
Like who was? I wasn't me. I wasn't on that one. I had nothing to do with
I think
it.
that was
the whole
Joe.
crew's gone. we were hijacked by pirates. And we weren't even there.
You're a busboy on Carnival cruises now.
Yeah, maybe.
Crazy, man.
It's insane.
Crazy.
Yeah, good times. Is that another one?
Two, yeah.
Oh
Two.
man,
I thought I was gonna save it.
Watch some Cavs, bro.
we need some new hot buttons.
So last time you were here, let's see. So in the fall, we were kind of talking about kids being in and out of school and things like that.
There, yeah.
How's it been?
So my son never went back.
Okay.
We decided to keep him homeschooling. Our daughter, she went back. So
Okay.
The day they could go back,
Sure.
she went. She's doing fine.
Good.
It's Wednesdays are virtual still.
Okay.
So it's still it still kind of sucks because it's not full on. They don't have the recess. They don't have the specials. They
Right.
don't have the they eat lunch at their desk. They don't have a lot of the social interaction. So she's still relying heavily on like FaceTime and Google Meets and stuff like that. But my son, he actually likes being at home. He prefers it.
Yeah.
It's just hard to keep him still and on track.
Focused.
So my wife still is home during the week and then working weekends.
Okay.
But they're making the best of it.
Yeah, sure.
It's like,
tough, man. That homeschool thing is so tough, man.
Yeah.
I never had to really work from home. So like for me, like the attention, like if I'm at home, like for a kid, it's like you see all your shit.
Right.
You're like, okay, well, I'm at home. I see my toys over here. I see the TV. It's like, man, I got to sit here and listen to the teacher talk. It's tough, man. It's a tough transition.
And we're trying to temper him to go back to school next year.
Yeah.
He's going to a whole new school. 4th grade's a whole different building.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Yeah. So he's warm to it.
Yeah.
So that's good. So
That's in Lyndhurst.
that one's in South Euclid.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm in it's SCL, so South Euclid Lyndhurst School District. So he'll go to that one, 4th, 5th, and 6th. So if we're in Lyndhurst for that long.
You guys looking to move?
It's in the 3 or 5 year plan.
I think Tom had talked about that a little bit. Because my wife and I are looking to move as well. Like, I don't think this year is an option because it's insane. Like, Liz's uncle today is like, oh yeah, I saw this really beautiful house today. It went up for sale. It's nice. It's like right around like the price you're looking for. I'm like, that house is gone.
Yeah.
There's no chance that house is there because like as soon as there's any showing, you're getting offers instantly. They're 25 over asking, and then they're like, we'll take that, but then we want cash.
Right.
So you're like, okay.
To back up your point, my buddy just put his house on the market on Thursday. He found a house in Strongsville they loved. They went 15 over. The realtor came back and said, sorry, they got an even better offer. Mm-hmm. And you're just like, fuck. What?
There's nothing you can do. I mean, you could sell no problem. You're stuck, man. You're
stuck.
not going anywhere.
Well, the big problem is the cash offers that are out there. And number one, I mean, I think banks are very generous right now. But, because my initial thing was like, how are these houses appraising? You know what I mean?
That's the thing is because they're not. That's what's happening, though.
Matter.
That's what's happening.
And I wonder what that's going to do.
Maybe it's the
later
comps
on
in the
down
area.
the road.
Maybe if your neighbor sells 20. I'm talking generalities.
It's going to raise it some, but I mean, at the end of the day, the bank still has to say like that
What
it's
it's
worth.
right.
And again, I'm not a real estate pro either. But I just remember when we sold our house. Now this was back in June or July.
Yeah.
I think it was July. We had accepted an offer. The offer fell through, so we put it back up, and we took another. Like, I wanted to go higher, and my realtor was just like, "Dude, you can probably get it, but I don't know if it's going to appraise. Like, you're already
up over
way higher than you ever thought." I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. Like, you know, at this point, let's sell it. You know," and it all worked out. But
that's the thing is, like, a lot of these houses are selling, and my realtor made a good point. He's like, dude, these houses people are blindly buying houses.
Without even looking, yeah.
And it's like, we went to this one and we're like, we loved it. And he's like, okay, well, I see he always goes straight to the basement before we look at anything. He's like, all right, I'm looking at the cracks and here, this one or this one. Okay. So he's showing us all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, it could be an issue. And then he calls the other realtor and she's like, oh yeah, we have like 5 offers on this house already. We're like 25 over.
People don't care.
He's like, dude, he asked about the cracks in the wall in the basement. She's like, oh, I didn't even look at that.
Wow.
She's like, there's no questions about it at all. It's like, dude,
yeah.
I had a waterproof.
That's an issue.
I had a waterproof our basement.
Yeah.
That's
That
the first thing
sucks.
I'm looking at is
not, yeah, somebody want to deal with that crap, man.
no.
You know, it's crazy too. 'Cause like, I remember when we sold mine, it wasn't quite as insane as it is now. Like, you were getting a lot more than we got a lot more than we thought we ever would. But
If you sold it now,
the market wasn't like nearly as insane. We got a page or a packet of after the inspection of like, I don't know, 40 things that they wanted done. And I was asking my realtor, I'm like, dude, in this market, like, can I just say no?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, you can, but, you know, it might hold some things up. And so we picked like 3 things that were cheap, and we're like, all right, we'll fix this, this, and this, but you're on your own for the rest.
Yeah.
And they were fine with that, because a lot of it was like really nitpicking. But I wonder if inspections are even doing that now. They're like, yeah,
it just depends on the inspection too. Like whoever's doing it, there's a lot of guys that are like really thorough.
I remember
and
my
they're
house
sticklers.
was 5 years old.
Yeah, it was basically brand new.
Like,
And they already give a laundry list of stuff.
it was huge.
Yeah.
The one thing they wanted us to dig up the one side of the house and do a foundation inspection. I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that. Not doing
Really?
that. Yeah, dude, it was. I was like, is this a joke?
Foundation inspection, like
I'm
for
not
real. Like,
doing
it's not
it.
like you're like in an area where that would even be necessary.
Right. It's not like you're turning the water on and black stuff's coming out.
Yeah, and
Right.
and then it's not like you're in a swamp area. Like there's like a water problem anywhere either. Like that your basement would have any like the.
So they were worried because, and this is my fault, but when we did our landscaping, the one side there was a bed that was originally supposed to be a tree. We were going to put a tree, like it was the back corner of the house,
on the next to the
deck.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about? Like on the whatever. it
Where the
doesn't-
pine trees are?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Right over there. And so originally those trees were supposed to be a lot closer. So I dug out a bunch to put the trees in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when we decided to move them out, I never backfilled all that. I just kind of just like put the dirt back in. You know what I mean? But I didn't like raise it up to be whatever. And
How do they know?
well, just over time where
Did it sink
rain
down or
comes
something?
down, it just sunk down a little
Oh,
bit
okay,
more
okay,
just
okay.
from settling and things like that. And I was like, listen, it's just a low spot. Like, fill it in some dirt. You're fine.
Yeah, grab some topsoil, throw it down, and replant the grass. You'll be okay.
Yeah, so that's a big reason why we're not in a hurry to jump into that 3 or 5 year plan, because I don't want to go through that hassle of trying to outbid somebody. And
Here's the deal, man. Like I said, you could sell the house, no problem. You're gonna sell the house,
Yeah.
and you're gonna get more than you thought, but you're gonna be stuck.
I don't have a backup plan. Our backup plan would be getting an apartment.
Exactly, and that's
I
like
don't have like a basement to go, or something
exactly,
like that.
and that's what like
I'll tell you what, apartments aren't cheap right now, and they're not easily available.
I'm sure that
well, that's another thing.
We were we found a place.
How many people are doing that? You think?
Everyone.
You know, because everybody's selling their
Sell
house.
in a minute. And
Yeah.
then,
Like shit, we have nowhere to go. Move in with your
we found
parents or
ours,
in-laws.
like, two weeks before we closed. And like we had an extended not extended, but it was like 45
60
days or
days? Oh,
60
45,
days,
okay.
something like that, somewhere in there. And we had no place to go. Like I was like, all right, moving in with your parents, babe. And,
You weren't having it.
maybe I'll finally get my dream of living down by the river in a van.
there you
There
go.
you go, man.
There you go.
Buy
can
one
go
of those
swim-
nice
you can go,
vans,
You can go
man.
swim with those people.
You ever see those Mercedes? You ever see those Mercedes vans?
Yeah,
I don't know if
our
they're
buddy's got one.
Sprinters? Yeah.
Sprinter vans. Yeah, you could put.
My buddy Marco has one.
Oh, from the barbershop.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're friends on.
Yeah, he's
social
because
media.
he wanted to do like
Van cuts.
van cuts. I don't know where that's gone, but he's
I
got
don't
the
know.
van. It's an awesome idea.
Oh yes.
Speaking of Marco, this kind of ties in. He's pretty into jiu-jitsu now.
I see.
He is. Yeah, he goes to
looks
Gracie
great.
over in Willoughby.
Have you seen him recently? I was giving him shit today, like, I don't know, just stupid thing in the parking lot in the back. Like,
Yeah.
For some reason, whenever I pick up the kids, that's about when he ends his day, and so whenever it happens that he's leaving, and I'm there, I'll like block him in. I'll like wait for him. He doesn't see me. I'll wait for him, and I'll pull out right in front of him. And
Yeah,
stupid
just mess
shit.
around, yeah.
But he gets out of the car and like he's gonna fight me. And I was like, holy crap, dude, you look amazing. Like, I'm not fighting you. He's like, oh, thanks. And he starts to lift his shirt up. I'm like, well, you look okay.
Yeah, don't do it with the shirt yet, man. You're not there. Like your triceps are starting a little defined, but like you're not there for the shirt yet. None of us are.
I haven't met Marco in person yet, but
He's a great guy, man.
Yeah.
He's a lot of fun.
He is. He's a blast to hang
he's
out
another
with.
one that we have a ton of people in common with, and we haven't met yet.
He's
an
one of the
asshole,
most.
but he's a lot of fun.
He's one of the most entertaining people.
yeah.
He's a great guy, man. And he's in love right now. Well, yeah. Let's not go over the top there.
He's a
I'm
above average guy.
Don't let him hear this because
He's
his head's gonna
average.
blow up. He's average.
He's slightly below average.
I was gonna say. I thought you said above. Guy's in love though, man. He's got his girlfriend now. He's all motivated. He's working out. He's flexing constantly.
So speaking of parking lot and beating up,
Okay.
I want to throw something at you guys.
Go ahead.
All right.
This is good. I like this.
I like
So we took a family trip to a big box retailer that we all well know
Okay.
that our wives like to spend tremendous
Target?
amounts of time at. Right.
Okay.
We're parked at our usual spot right by the cart corral.
Okay.
Yep.
I always do that too.
Yep, that could be a dad hack.
Yeah.
But
It
I'm sure.
is,
I think someone's
100%.
already used that one.
I don't know.
I don't know
But
either.
I always park by the.
Just in case. Heck. I like it.
We all get in our car. We're all loaded down, right? We're about to go. And my wife's looking at this car next to us, and there's only kids in the car. And I'm in the passenger side, and she's freaking out. You believe these kids? She's like yelling at me like I'm
Like you did it, right?
I did it. I go, this is none of our business. She goes, what should we do? What if the person is inside and collapsed? I go, do you see any EMS? No. Then I doubt they passed out. What if the person left them? I go, I don't have an answer for you. Can we just leave, please? And she goes, no, we're not. You need to go inside and ask for a manager and tell them that somebody left their kids in the car. I go, no. I will not do that.
That's not happening today.
I go, this poor guy working in Target, you think he gives a shit about
Right.
somebody in the car? And if I'm going to call him, and how do I even approach this to the person? So
Yeah, as you're calling, they walk out.
again, so she's still yelling at me like I'm like,
Like you did it.
Right. It's your fault.
yeah. So here comes I'm not going to say, I doubt that would ever tie back. So the parent comes out, and they had a prescription bag. So they were probably in for 45 seconds.
Right.
Yeah, it's a quick stop.
I don't judge these people. I'm just,
Yeah.
going about my business.
Sure.
My wife, she's the one having a hard time with this. She goes, I'm going to tell that guy what he did was wrong and blah, 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 blah. And there's crazy people out there. And you hear all these stories about people jumping on their hoods to save someone from getting kidnapped. And she's just going like totally like Jack Bauer on us. And I go, listen, you're not going to say a word to this guy. Because then before you know it, I'm going to have to give him a stone cold stunner in the parking lot.
Yeah, and I'm not doing that shit right now.
And I go, what are you going to tell him, that he shouldn't leave his kids in the car, and he's going to tell you to go fuck off? And
Yeah.
then he
Yeah,
crosses that
I
line.
gotta go deal with it. And like, yeah, then you get sucked in, and you're like, now I gotta go fight this guy.
Right. So the whole, maybe that's the extreme case, but
You
got
never
my
know.
point. Yeah. So my point was, I told her, because I think we were already lined up for a second episode. I go, well, I'm going to tell Ian and Steve this story.
Yeah.
And I'm going to approach it about minding your own fucking business in the
Here's
parking
the
lot with
thing, man. It's like
parent.
you guys remember being little.
Yeah.
Parents leave you in the car all the time. Car be running, right? Or sometimes they just leave, not have it running, just leave you out there for a few minutes. They're gonna go, I'm gonna go run into the store, and we were fine. But in today's society, it's a little bit different, and I am terrified. Like, I want to go run into the gas station and grab a water, or I'm gonna go grab a lottery ticket. Like, I don't want to take the kids in there with me. And I have before, because I'm like, I just want to go grab a lottery ticket or something, you know?
Right.
I remember walking in there with a carrier. I'm like, I'm not leaving the kid out here, because God forbid someone walks past and sees us, and then they're calling the authorities, and then I'm getting my kids taken away
There
because
are some psychopaths out there.
and they
either
would.
way. Yeah.
I'm afraid to leave my freaking dog in the car sometimes. I went into Walgreens the other day.
People are more nuts about the dog than kids, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. I've heard people breaking windows and shit.
Yeah,
And I had I've done it before. Like, I have the dog in the middle of the summer. I have the car running. I have the radio on. I have the air conditioning blasting
For the dog.
for the dog. Not the kids. Yeah, I leave the kids in there running around. I leave
long as the dog's in
leave a
there.
bowl of water in there. It'll be fine. Some
if the
treats.
dogs are in there with the kids, that's perfect.
Yeah, the dog's watching them. But I saw this online. Someone posted a picture and it said, like, my dog's fine. The air conditioning is on full blast, and they're listening to talk radio. Dog's fine. Please don't break my window. And I thought about leaving a...
I wrote a note the other day.
Did you?
Oh, it was a couple weeks ago now.
I left one. I did. So I was going to say I did leave one once, but I left it on the center console because I wanted to stick it to the window because people are crazy.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody shattering my window if I'm going to run into the store real quick and grab something, and can't take the dog in with me.
Right.
People are nuts though.
So it was actually probably more than a couple. It was probably 2 months ago. It's like right when we got Walter, and I was on my way to go get the kids, and I had him in the truck with me from going to the daycare. And my wife calls me. She's like, "Hey, I need you to stop at the store and get whatever, bread, milk, whatever it was." I was like, "Yeah, no problem." I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to stop before I get the kids so I don't have to drag them into the store." So I go, and I'm like, "Shit, I got the dog with me." I'm like, "Pretty sure you're not supposed to bring dogs into, like, Giant Eagle." So I remember I called Mandy because she's one of she's my director of operations, and she's amazing, and she's a dog person. Like, she's got, I don't know. She had like 9 dogs at one point. I'm like, "Hey, what's the etiquette on this?" Because I've heard stories of people like smashing windows, and she's like, "Honestly, you shouldn't do it." She's like, "I've done it before. If you have to, I would leave a note." I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Dude,
like what you're
She's
saying
like,
about
"I would
don't
leave a
smash
note."
that window.
It was like 55 degrees. It was nice out. So I did. I wrote a note, and I put it up on my dash. And she's like, "Park as far away as you can, and if you can, leave the truck running." I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
That's what I do,
I
yeah.
was literally running. Oh, you know what? It wasn't that long ago. It was St. Patty's Day. Because Chelsea goes, "We need Thousand Island." That's what it was. I needed to get Thousand Island dressing for Rubens.
Yeah.
I'm like, "All right, perfect. I'll run right in." So St. Patty's Day was nice out. So it was like 60 something. And I did it. And it was fine. But I was like, I was expecting to come back
Broken
and
glass.
broken glass. I'm
Yeah,
like, come
man.
on.
It's true though, man. That's something that you have to worry about. But I think
I will
and like I say, Mandy's saying like you shouldn't do it. Like for dogs, it doesn't fucking matter, man. I'm not saying it's like dogs aren't important, but they're
not
going to be
kids.
fine.
Yeah.
So if I'm running to the store, I'm not leaving the dog in 100-degree heat with the windows up,
Right.
you know, and the dog's going to die. Like I'm talking about, like you said, it's 55 degrees outside. You could crack the window, or you could have the air conditioning on, what have you.
Yeah.
Or if it's freezing, you put the heat on.
Right.
Whatever. You leave the car running. The dogs are fine, but people are nuts now. And you're right. People might call, and that's the problem. And like they're going to shatter your window.
Right. Well, I feel like
You come out, they're going to get screamed at, or someone's going to try to fight you in the parking lot.
Right. Well, I feel like we did how could I say it? I think we did the most to our responsibility. We sat there.
You sat there. Yeah.
and the parent came out, and then we went about our business.
Yeah. It's not like,
you know.
Yeah. I don't think you weren't going to the extreme. Like you make sure everything's cool, right?
Right.
And
But then I even think to myself, okay, what if these kids, we were sitting there, and these kids were in there, and someone who wasn't the parent came and tried taking them out. Then you try to intervene. You could still wind up being in the wrong.
Sure.
Completely.
Yeah.
So that's why
everything's so you have to tread lightly with everything now.
right.
And that's what's tough is like you don't know how to approach any type of situation, and it's tough, man.
I'm going to sound very PC for a second here.
Go ahead. PC's good.
And it's not intentional, but I do get like all the reports. Just from being in childcare, we get like the stats nationwide and stuff like that. And I will say that leaving the kids in the car for an extended period of time, I do kind of have a weird thing against it.
What do you mean, like someone doing it?
Yeah.
No,
we didn't condone it.
No,
Sure,
I'm not saying there's no
I
part of me
understand that.
condoning. I don't say like that's what I'm going to do because I never would. Especially now, like I'm not going to do it because I know it can be dangerous and there's crazy people out there, and I'm not
100%.
And
No,
anybody can walk up to the car and be like, "Hey, kids."
I guess I just do what like.
So what does the stat say? Is it pretty high of kidnapping?
I don't want to quote them because I haven't seen one.
Is it
in
the
a
kidnapping
while.
thing?
No, it's more about just safety,
Exposure,
You know, exposure
heat,
to the elements or whatever. But so the only reason I'm bringing that up is because in that situation, I don't think I would have said anything.
Yeah.
However, I've had to on multiple occasions. This is back when parents were going inside of the centers.
Well, they leave a kid out in the car.
Yeah, they would leave a kid at multiple occasions. I've had to talk to parents.
So I never did. I would always bring the
my
kid in there.
property. I don't want something to happen on my property. I'm responsible for those kids. You know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and like people look at me like I'm insane. I'm like, listen, What you do, same thing with like car seats. There'd be people that come pick up their kids with like infants, and they're like holding their infants. I'm like, what are you doing? And it would be like somebody's aunt that was coming to pick up. Well, I don't have a car seat. Fucking go get one.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
You know?
you're on the hook though.
Yeah, 100%.
It's your
100%.
property, and that's the thing. It's like, and then but
That is
back,
the
going back to
difference.
like the kidnapping thing. That's terrifying, and I'm not talking about just with kids. I mean like with women, and
Sure.
like you hear these stories like they have like the people put something on the windshield, right? They put like a note or something, so they get out and they go walk around and go pick it up, or they put like the tie thing on the handle,
the zip ties.
And I think about that a lot too with Liz. Like she works till like 9:30 or 10 some nights, and I'm like, she's walking out to the parking lot. Her and like one other girl like walking out to their cars, and they're like the last cars in the parking lot. It's like it's terrifying to think about, man, because like people are fucking nuts,
And it
man.
sucks that we live in a world that like
You have to think about that
that's
kind of shit?
A reality,
Right.
Like think about like also your kids, for example. They're playing in the yard, and they go run around to the front, and they're like going down the sidewalk or something. Like,
Oh yeah,
dude, when we were little, man, I was 5 years old, and I'm running down the street to my neighbor's house.
oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And my mom's like, that's fine.
Right.
But now you're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Where do they go? And I'm like, they're in the front yard. I'm in the garage. Like,
Well, think about even like in a store. You know what I mean? Like you're at like say Target or something like that. Kids run to the toy aisle. Like I can remember me and my brother.
you remember hiding in the clothes racks?
Yeah, it was
like
at
hiding in the
Marshall.
clothes
Yeah,
racks,
yeah, like
or
the-
or we'd be at like Walmart and we'd go check out like the video games, and like my mom would go do whatever it was she was doing. We were just there. They had like the games that you could play.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you catch up
just
with
sit
your
there and you
parents.
play, and they'd eventually make your way back around.
You don't want to
Can't do that
let them
now.
out of your sight.
I know.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You should have masked for a bra.
Yeah, I think so. You see that?
But now, like, you know, when you're at the store and you blink and say your child, like, something catches their eye and they're out of your sight for a second, it's like, full
Dude,
panic
Dude,
mode.
so Ben is like, he's bad with that. Like,
Like
kid
a
just,
wand-
he bolts, and he thinks it's hilarious. So, like, we were looking at cars the other day. It's right Chevy, and Liz is inside, and I have the kids, and I'm like, trying to keep them occupied because they're bored out of their minds. I'm like, let's just go walk around all the new cars. I mean, they're lined up, and there's like tons of them. So it's like Ben takes off, and he's gone in the middle of these cars somewhere, and I can't find him anywhere. So I'm trying to chase him down. I'm like, Sam, help me find Ben. I don't know where he's at. And every few minutes, you'd hear him giggling. And then you see his like reflection on like one of the cars. It's like one of those like mirror mazes, like the House of Mirrors. Like you'd see him like in a reflection of a car. He would like look in it. He'd be like, ha, and like he'd just
I
bolt.
could just hear him.
Like just, and then at one point, opened up one of the cars. Because like there was like the button to open up the hatch, and he like climbed in one of them.
Oh, God.
And Sam and I couldn't find him anywhere. Sam's like, I don't know where Ben's at. I'm like, and he's just thought it was the funniest thing in the world. I'm like, I got inside. I'm like, Liz, this kid is a wild card.
That was
man.
his version of hiding in the clothes.
Yeah, he was exactly because I
right,
remember doing
right.
that when I was little. My
Yeah.
brothers and I, and like watching my mom like panic.
Yeah.
And like looking around
And we
for us,
thought it was
and we're sitting there
hilarious.
cracking up, and she's like yelling our names, and we're like, but it's terrifying, man.
I know. Well, I think bottom line is we agreed to disagree for that moment. Yeah. I felt like.
Well, in that situation, it's tough. But I think, like you said, you did what you could by just hanging out, and kind of
But it was-
watching,
I
but
don't
not
even-
like, and you weren't like doing anything wrong or like being nosy. I think like you handled it like the best way you could, right? You kind of just making sure everything was
at
cool.
the end of the day, I want to I want to be a person that minds their own business.
Sure.
Yeah.
Unless,
You want to be
unless
like
someone's, you know, of course, there's extreme. Or
You don't wanna be-
shady standards.
Yeah,
Karen, right? You know, like the whole
cancel
thing.
culture.
Yeah, like you
And
know, it's
here's
just
the thing that I always try and remember too is you have no idea what that dad was going through at
Well,
that
I told her
moment.
that. I told her that too because it reminded me of a story that I read where this guy was on a subway with his two kids, and the kids were acting. They were going bonkers, and the guy was sitting. Another guy was sitting there thinking, like, "Oh my God, why, these kids are so unruly." Well, they were just coming because they were just leaving from. I forgot in the story like that. Either they were coming from the funeral or the hospital of the mom passing away.
Oh, jeez.
So it's like that's why I told her that story even then too. I was like, you don't know what these guys are going. Like maybe he was on his own. Maybe he was a single dad with the kids for the weekend, but just had to go. So
And trust me, like I've done it. One time it was just me and Gibbs, and this was probably like a year ago. And so like Sloan was still at school, and it was just me and Gibbs, and I had to run. What the hell was it? Oh, it was a pizza place, and it was like curbside pickup, but there was like 15 cars. Like it was one of those like must have been pizza night for whatever reason.
Right.
And so like I'm like, all right, Gibbs, I'm gonna keep the truck running. I'm gonna put the window down, and I'm talking like from me to that wall I got the first parking spot, and there was a thing. I'm like, dude, I'm just gonna run over there and grab the pizza, and like that gave me anxiety. You know what I mean?
Extreme anxiety.
And I was like, and like I literally could see him the entire time.
But you worry about
truck
something
was
like
running. I locked it. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
like, you're fine, and they're fine, and it's gonna be okay. But I think the biggest worry we have is somebody calling and being like,
that's exactly what it is.
and I'm like, I'm gonna get in trouble and get my kids taken away because
I think about my business, like
everything, man.
Daycare owner
Right?
gets
Like, look at this,
arrested.
look at this
Get
asshole.
pretty close on the
Right.
news. Yeah.
Right.
It's true, man. It's just it's a tough situation, but like I'll never forget sitting in my neighbor, who was like my best friend when I was little. Him and I were sitting in the car. His mom ran into Euclid Fish. I remember this. We parked next to the same exact car. Okay, and we're sitting there just hanging out, and this guy comes in, opens the door, and sits in the car. And he looks back at us. He's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." He's like, "I have the same car." He's like, and he realized his car was next door, so he's got up and went in there. But just think about that. The door was unlocked.
Yeah.
We're sitting in the car.
Someone
The guy
gets
could have just like
drove away.
taken us or drove away. You know, like
Didn't realize they got in his driveway that he had.
yeah, like we're in the
brought you
back
back.
seat. Yeah. But even if it was like some creep though,
Right.
Yeah.
but I don't know if that was like not as common back then, or maybe we just didn't
Wasn't
hear about
publicized,
it. It wasn't
that's for
publicized.
sure.
Well, here's the story. My mom always told me this. Like she said, when my brother Mike was like 2, there was a story of a little boy that was kidnapped, and they found him. He was decapitated, and they obviously was murdered. And the story was like, it was a big story. And like she's like, I constantly thought about that all the time. It was like, that's all she could think of. Like if, so her worry, like her anxiety about that was always like through the roof, you know? And like, I think you hear a lot more of those stories now, even if it's not on the news. Like you see stuff online, you see stuff on Facebook.
I feel like in the 80s, they would make a made-for-TV movie for any horrific event.
Yeah.
And they
You
made
remember
such
Rescue 911? You remember that show?
Yeah.
They would put such a familiar, heart-wrenching story to a topic.
Yeah.
And I think people would, now you just get a blurb on your screen. Like,
Yeah, like
child
child
abducted,
missing. Like
child
you
missing.
get like an Amber Alert. Like
Yeah,
get this
shut this
annoying,
thing
get this
off.
annoying sound away from me.
Back then, when you'd only had 3 channels and Sunday night was devoted to a 2-hour special about,
Right.
like the Menendez boys.
Yeah.
The Menendez brothers.
Yeah,
I
dude.
remember that.
Now it's like you have 24-hour news,
Yeah.
like 50 stations, like just
Yeah. And
all it is
where you're
news, and
devoting
you're like
time to,
completely overrun with what's going on. And
So let me ask you guys this.
Go for it.
Because I think that we're all in agreement that like whether it was right or wrong when we were growing up, that was much more commonplace. It wasn't like a taboo thing to whereas now, your wife sees this and she's like, you need to go say something, right? And forget about whether it's right or wrong to interject, right?
Yeah.
Like doesn't even matter.
And I brought that up mostly like to get a
Yeah, no, it's fun. Yeah,
No, and it's a great
fun
topic, right? Yeah.
because
it's
my wife probably would have done the same thing.
yeah, I mean, it's,
I don't know
because you see it and you're like, oh god, this is a problem,
Right.
It's like,
But do you think that the kids will be different? Do you know what I mean? Like we remember that, and we probably only remember it because it's so different than today. But do you think it has any effect, like on how, like the independence of kids, or you know what I mean? Like we grew up running around the grocery store, and like we were on our own for a little bit. I feel like my kids have never been on their own except for like in their rooms.
I think like this won't answer the big question, but I think it's a little piece of that. I think kids now they're not learning independence. They're almost too dependent. I think we're almost conditioning them to be.
I mean,
more
it's like how
dependent.
we've talked about how, like, when we were 10, 11, 12 years old, we were riding a couple miles down the, to the ball fields.
and this is a time
Don't
where
play.
10-year-olds didn't have phones,
Right.
and you
yeah,
couldn't,
there was
you,
no
you didn't know where your
tracking.
kids were.
And the speed
Like,
limit was 45.
yeah, right,
right.
And like we would just be gone
And
all
by
day.
the way,
and
we
your
would
parents,
go to like the sketchy ass neighborhood where the ball field was.
yeah, you go where you go. You would go.
Crackheads everywhere. And
You
shit.
just go to any place, and your parents would be like, they'll be home when they need to be home.
Yeah.
And like maybe every now and then they would call like the neighbors
Somebody's,
or their parents and be like, hey, are my kids over there? No, and they would have to go to the next one or whatever. But they like the difference is insane. And we've talked about this 100 times about how different it is. Like, remember, we were all on our bikes. The streets were packed with kids.
Well, I grew up in
Parks.
Chesterland, so it was kind of wide open.
Yeah.
But like
You know what I mean?
Or some,
Yeah, like Manor. So like for us, so like
tighter.
every park was loaded. You had to wait in a line to get onto a basketball
Oh
court.
yeah.
The ball fields were filled with people.
Right.
I mean,
know,
we
and
used
we're
to play
cracks were
pickup
full,
games,
too.
and then we had benches. Like guys were sitting out, like waiting to get into the next.
Yeah,
inning.
you'd have like
You know what I mean?
like you're on a baseball field and there's literally people on the bench.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you had full games going.
right.
And that was summer. And then like I drive past baseball fields all the time in the summertime during the day, and it's like there's nothing.
I know.
There's no one on these playgrounds unless it's like a camp or something.
And and when we were kids too, so maybe you had swim in the morning, baseball in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Or vice versa, or whatever
Right,
the
right.
sport was. But you would come home exhausted, sunburnt.
Yeah.
Like that was a great feeling.
You remember that though? Like you remember
Even
like
though the
remember
house-
game day? You'd be like, "Don't swim all day."
Yeah,
you remember like, "Don't swim before game because you're gonna be exhausted."
Your legs will be
That was the
noodles or
yeah
whatever they
exactly.
say,
It is
yeah.
true though.
I remember that,
Because I remember
yeah.
you go to a friend's house, you'd be like, "Oh, this person's got a pool." You spend the day in the pool, and
They
then you
show
like,
up to the game, they're all sunburnt.
you,
like, dude.
you ride the bike home, and you're like just dragging ass, can't even make it to first base.
I know.
Yeah.
And we didn't have air conditioning for a while, like until like I don't know, whatever year. But
Yeah.
it didn't matter. You could be sunburned.
Yeah,
You were
we
so
didn't care.
beat the minute you hit the pillow, you're
You're done. Didn't matter, man.
You rode your bike 25 miles a day, and then you're swimming or
It
sunburned.
was
wonder-
a different time, man.
I wonder, like, the independence of kids. Like, right? Like, again, at 10, 12 years old, we were doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And you just don't see that. And I just wonder what that's going to mean for, our kids' generation. Like,
Well, here's the deal, and
I don't know if it's good or bad.
And
I just think it's
we
gonna
don't,
be
we don't,
different.
It's going to be completely different. And for every generation that watches their kids grow up,
right.
it's always like, well, we didn't do that,
Right.
And then it just kind of evolves with the time. But I will say this, like, my niece, she just turned 10, and all of her friends have cell phones. Right? They're 10-year-olds and they all have cell phones. So Mila got her first phone. And I could already see the freaking difference because we're over their house and we're celebrating her birthday and like we're hanging out. And I mean, my niece is she's the best. Like she's the sweetest little girl in the world. But the distraction of the phone is absurd. Like where she would used to like take all the other kids and go play with them and like do what they were doing. And like, she's older than all of them. She's like 5 years older than all of them. And, or just like talking with us and shit. Like she's sitting at the table right next to me and she's on her phone and I'm like, Mila, like I'm telling her a story and she's like completely not paying attention to me. I'm like, Mila, nothing. I'm like, Mila, and I grab the phone, I put it down. She's like, oh, sorry, I got this game. And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. It's already starting. You're 10.
My daughter's
I saw a kid riding a bike on my street one day last summer, riding his bike.
I remember we were
on
talking
his
about
phone.
this. Oh,
Like,
jeez.
He's like sitting there, he's one hand in it, like on his phone. I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude.
Right. Well, like you said, I think it's probably common if you ask our grandparents, and I doubt people have many great grandparents left, but they probably would say like, yeah, my kids had a softer upbringing
Sure,
than me.
100%.
My kid had
Absolutely, because think about your grandparents. They were like World War II,
Right.
Like they went through the shit like that,
Right.
and then their kids were like a little bit less, and then
So like my dad came here at 18 from Italy, and he grew up in a really country, poorish town in Italy. So he came here at 18, didn't have much, didn't speak English, the whole bit. So he had a hustle, he worked 2 jobs, the whole thing. So like during some of my reflecting about, because he was hard on us from a standpoint of like instilling hard work, and we went landscaping with him. You had to earn, like you didn't earn your keep to like eat, but
but
we had
taught,
chores.
taught you work ethic.
Sure.
Yeah, up at 5, hustle, and when I say hustle, I mean like just grind and put it in and put in the hours and don't complain and just do it right. So like, of course, he would say that but he'd always say, "Well, you guys have an easier life than I would have if I stayed in Italy."
Right.
So like, but that was one thing, like tying it all back together. And I know my kids have it way easier.
For sure.
And I didn't have it bad. I didn't have it hard.
No, yeah,
They have it way easier. And I remember I remember me thinking back and saying, like, because we talked about this on our last podcast about reflection. And I was reflecting about, and that's the one thing I learned. That was probably the biggest takeaway I learned from my old man is like, he taught me about, like we said, independence. Like, I never take a handout. I never asked for a handout. I never expected a handout. And I think I got that from him,
Yeah.
And then, like, because I remember one time I was away at college, and I had to support myself in college. I had to pay for my own car insurance, tuition, food, everything. I was dead broke. And I called him, like, hey, can I borrow $50? You can give it to my sister. She had access to, like, my secondary, like, ATM card for emergencies. He goes, life's not easy. Hangs up the phone. And I remember being like, motherfucker, you only give me $50. There's guys I'm in school with here that their like parents are buying them brand new Honda
Loading them
Civics
on.
and
Yeah.
their credit card. You could tell it's their parents' credit card they're using every time.
Yeah.
You know? And I was, of course I was pissed because I didn't have any cash.
There's no perspective.
Right. Well, 15 years later, I think back, I'm like, you know what? Fucking A. Like, I didn't have to. I learned such a valuable lesson right there. I wish I would have realized it then.
And that's the thing is we don't realize what our parents are trying to teach us at that point. Yeah. It sucks. You don't realize it until later. Like, damn it. Right. My parents were right this whole time.
Yeah. Now from there, I learned how to be more resourceful and make do. But
listen, hard times, and to be fair, I don't know that I've ever really experienced hard times.
Same.
Right? Like, I think of hard times for me, right? Like, I remember being in the barracks, making, I don't know, I was making like $800 a paycheck or something like that at the time, but also housing was covered. Like, I didn't have very many bills, right? I was spending all my money on stupid shit. But I remember calling my parents and be like, look, what it was is I signed up for college courses and I went like to 2 classes and then we got deployed. We weren't supposed to have gotten deployed, but we got deployed. Well, I get back and part of your process to leave the base is you have to check out with like the base college and everything. So I go to check out and they're like, well, you owe us like $7,000 or something like that. I'm like, what? And
was that for the classes?
It was for the classes. Well, I was like, well, I got deployed. I'm like, well, we didn't know
Tough
that.
break, man.
And I was like, are you serious? Like, and part of me was really, really pissed off. Like, I just went to fucking war, blah, 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 like, and I hate that I was that way because
that's just how you,
but that's how
you think,
that's
though.
what we heard, right?
Yeah.
Like, Vietnam guys heard like, nothing. We heard like, oh man, support the troops, do everything. And that was, and I think that's great,
For sure.
But I was very much like, dude, I was deployed. What do you want from me?
You're supposed to take care of this for me.
Of course I didn't go to class or say anything. I was busy,
Mm-hmm.
And I remember talking to my mom. She's like, or I remember talking to my dad, and he's like, dude, talk to your mom. She's the financial genius in the family. I'm like, okay. So I talked to my mom, and it was like, you need to figure out what this is. If you absolutely need something and to be able to, like, I'll give you a loan, and it all worked out. I figured it out, but I had to pay, like, we settled. So I had to pay like all of my savings basically. And I remember the last week that I was in Japan, I had like no money. And if you can learn to live on like $13 for a week, like that teaches you a lesson, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
yeah,
I remember I had like $13, something like that, and I was making some fucking ramen dishes that were amazing, and
you make do with what you can get, man. That's what you figure it out.
Trading extra gear that I have for freaking tobacco and shit.
Yeah,
like
but the thing is, like, but it's like you think about it, it's like you figure it out, right?
Yeah.
And that's a great life lesson.
Yeah,
like you with school and everything, it's like I don't even know. Like I feel like our kids. I mean, I spoil the shit out of my kids, and I do want them to be like. I do want them to have some type of experience of where they need to take care of it themselves. I look at my house and I'm like, God damn it, man. I'm like, this house is filled with toys. My fucking kid is asking me, he's like, oh, this toy is this, and I don't want it anymore. I'm like,
throw it in the pile with 50 other million.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, I blew up the one day. I'm like, oh, okay. Let's talk real quick about the one toy that you had to have from Santa Claus, right? The one big toy that you wanted. I'm like, how many times have you played with that toy? He goes, well, he's like, I have it. I'm like, exactly. I'm like, you have it. I'm like, you don't appreciate the toys you have. I'm like, you know what I could do? I could get rid of all those toys because you just said you don't like them anymore. I'm like, you want me to get rid of all these toys? I'll get rid of them. No problem. I'll have all the free space in the house. He's like, no, don't get rid of my toys. I'm like, well, then you need to appreciate these freaking toys because I'm not going to the store and buying you shit just because it's Tuesday.
Right.
It's funny to look at them and they're like, what? Like, I don't get it.
Every time they go to the store, they expect something now.
And it's bullshit. And I was so good about it. God, I was so good about it for the longest time. And I would be like, we could walk through this area and you're not getting anything. And and for a little while, I'd be like, all right, let's grab this little thing. When we get up front, we'll buy a $1 thing. And then they start expecting it. Mm-hmm. And that's the problem. And it's like, God damn it, you little shit. And I don't remember. See, here's the problem, though. I don't remember when I was 5 years old. Right. And I don't know what my parents did for me. Yeah. So I don't know if it's that big of a deal. They're 5 and you do 9 and 6, right?
Right.
So it's hard to say what my parents did because I don't remember all of it.
Right.
So
I know I didn't
here's
have
the
this many
struggle.
toys in my house. I know damn straight
No.
I did not have this much stuff.
So like when we were little, I remember having like 1 or 2 pairs of shoes throughout the year.
Yeah.
Enough jeans and shirts to get you through school.
You get so the initial buy is the
remember-
first going back to school, right?
Was
You
the
get
big
to go to the
one.
mall.
Grandma took me shopping,
And you
when it was
get
time
you
for
get
back
all
to
those new schools. So when you get to school, man, you got the best gear, right? You got everything new. You got the new shoes. You got the new
shit better
shirts.
last.
Man, you're like, cool, deal with it, and we did, right?
all year.
Yeah. Now I depended a lot on like, as I got older, I'm like stealing shit out of my brother's rooms because they had the best shit.
Yeah.
Especially once I got to like junior high, because my brothers were older and they were working, so they were buying like a lot better clothes. So I'm like, they would go to school earlier than me because they were in high school and I was in junior high. So I'm like, they left for school and I'm going in their closets and I'm grabbing their shit and I'm
You
putting.
were
I was like, I was got the best gear on, man. I'm like this, like I got my Tommy Hilfiger shit and like. But when I got home, my brother found out I was wearing his stuff. Beat down, man.
I always
Worth it.
Yeah, it was worth it. I look good at school, man. I was picking up all the chicks today.
I would always exaggerate that, like in middle school, like those formative years, I'd only have 5 shirts to wear.
Yeah.
For 5 days
Yeah.
a week. And that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but I didn't have much though.
Right,
It wasn't
right.
a ton. But my parents, we made do. Like it was all about, old school Italian family where you never went hungry. You always had food, and the house was always taken care of. But that there was no family vacations. There was no like, and what I mean, like when you said hard times and you mentioned being the barracks trade, my hard times was not having like Abercrombie clothes
Right,
back
right,
then,
right.
which now,
What I-
if
what
you
I-
think back then, that's just not even relevant anymore.
No, but
Yeah,
but
right.
that was the thing though. It's like, and in order to get myself those clothes, I had to go get a job.
I
Right
remember.
when I got into high school, I'm like,
So-
now I could go buy myself some Abercrombie clothes.
Well, that's why I was really pissed was because I had a job since I was 14, and
Yeah.
I only make $5.15 an hour.
Yep.
yeah, you were
I
making
remember
shit.
that.
You're not working
So then I
5
went-
days a week.
Then
You're
when I went to college, I was only making $7 an hour.
Yeah.
And you're working 24 hours a week because you're taking 18 credit hours. And it was very tough to convince my dad, like, hey, you don't get it. Like 40 hours a week, I'm in school and then I'm working. Like,
Yeah.
I just need $50. Like, at the time, you're like, it's not a catastrophe. You were uncomfortable, but so
Yeah.
you learn how
yeah,
to
like that's like when I first started going to college, like I was playing baseball and then I was going to school and I
the
was
college
working.
level?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was playing at Lakeland, so it was community college, but I was playing baseball and that was like, I'm telling you, man, I get out of school at 2:00. I'm done with class. And then I have baseball and I'm there till 9:00 at night some nights, and like I was trying to have a job at the same time because I needed money.
Sure.
I ended up like after a year and a half of playing, I had to quit baseball. And then I was, because I'm like, I need money. Like I have to pay for all my shit. Like,
Right.
I mean, and I was at Lakeland and I'm living at home still, but so I'm not paying for like food and everything. Like I still live with my parents.
Car, you got a
But
phone,
but I
you
have all
got,
this stuff.
like,
I still have these
insurance.
responsibilities and I'm paying, So, but that was tough though. I mean, that's not really a hard time if you think about it. That's really simple. And I was
It
playing
is, yeah.
baseball, but it was playing a sport. I'll give any athlete credit. And I mean, I'm not talking, I'm playing at Ohio State where like I have everything paid for and they don't give a shit if you're in class.
Right.
Yeah. And you have bags.
But
of
I'm
clothes.
telling you, I would leave. So this is like, you're leaving. So baseball season, you're leaving like around like midterms, right? And we're going on like Florida. We're going to Florida. We're going to Tennessee. And you're leaving like in the middle of midterms. And they're like, you got to figure out how to balance school and sports.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
Dude, that shit was tough, man.
But that teaches you stuff, right? Like
yeah, you figure
whether
out how to,
it's-
you find the balance.
whether it's you're trying to figure out like how to go to school full time, work full time, pay for your shit, whatever, like all of those lessons are lessons that you don't want to have to learn.
Yeah.
But when you can reflect on it 20 years later, you're like, oh shit, like that's why I don't feel like, I don't mind taking risks, right? Like
Sure.
we'll get a little extra on the car now because, it's more than I wanted to pay, but I'll figure it out. Like
Yeah.
if I have to.
But you do, though. You figure it
we'll
out,
figure it
and
out.
you work around it. Like, for example, we just got... So Liz's car has been paid off for a while, and it's been amazing with one car
It's
payment.
the best. That's
It's
we're in the same
phenomenal.
we're in the same
But
situation right now.
well, he just bought a car the other day. And I was like, damn it, man.
Back on
Another
the
car
treadmill.
payment. Yeah.
Back on the
Oh, damn
treadmill.
it. I'm like, I told Liz, I'm like, I guess I can't. I'm like, I just got it out of my system. I bought myself some really expensive shoes last week, and I was buying stuff on Amazon when I wanted to. I'm like, there goes those fun times.
Yep.
Well, that's gone.
Right.
Here comes another car payment.
Yeah.
But
It sucks, man.
But you have that experience of juggling shit, and I'm not even just talking financially. I'm just saying
Well,
juggling your
everything, yeah.
time,
Your time and
juggling
everything.
your responsibilities. Like that all teaches you things. And back to like the kids thing is, I struggle with this all the time because I feel like my kids are spoiled little brats, and I love them dearly. And
Well, you wanna
when
give
we
them
had
everything,
kids,
too.
we said we want to make sure. And again, I did not have a rough childhood by any means. Like
Same.
we were.
I was definitely most likely
great.
coddled, and I just didn't realize
right.
it, you know?
But I look at it and like it's a whole nother level.
Yeah.
I'm like, my kids are just like they're like the rich kids, right? Like, and
They're spoiled, man.
You know, I'm
They're
not
spoiled.
like uber rich by any means, but like my kids have everything that they want, and they don't appreciate, like you said, they just don't appreciate.
Here's what I will
they
say:
have.
is I had my mom's friends who were like very wealthy, and like I knew, like I had some awesome shit. And I loved everything I had. I was very appreciative of. Here's the thing: I never thought like less of my parents if we didn't have this giant house and a pool and the trampoline, because my mom's friends had that stuff. So you know what I thought? Like when I went to those people's houses was, can't wait to go over there because we're gonna go have some fucking awesome. We're gonna have a great time.
Yeah.
Because it was exciting to do something different and go have fun at their house. But I wasn't like, oh, my parents suck, you know?
Right.
My parents were amazing. Yeah. And our house was freaking amazing too, really.
Yeah.
And there was
You had
nothing
a
bad
great
about
house.
it. Like, you know, but like I do remember like my mom's wealthy friends and they had all this awesome shit. But it was amazing to go to those people's houses. And it was fun to like go play with their toys. Yeah. They had a pool table, they had a air hockey table, they had a pool, they had a trampoline, they had like all the best video games, and like it was sweet.
Well, growing up, I could never wrap my head around when you heard about families that would go on a lot of vacations.
Well, that's why I always remember people going to like Disney World and shit like that. I never did.
What really blew my fucking mind as a kid was when like the Johnsons or whatever I'm making this name up, were going on vacation.
The Joneses.
They were Joneses, sure. Well, the Joneses were going on vacation, and little Tommy brought
A friend.
little Frankie with him. It's like,
Yeah.
Really?
what the fuck? Like, how does this work?
Yeah.
Like,
You know what we used to
and
do?
why am I not that kid getting picked on?
We went to
be
this
that
campsite
friend.
that we went to. It was like it was a Slovenian campsite. It's called SMPJ. And what we would do is we would go and stay in a cabin. It was like it was this big place, this big open place, and it has like a multi-purpose building where you get all your meals. They have like a huge lake where you go fishing. They have all these activities, and you stay in these cabins. And like all of our family friends that we grew up with all went there. And it was every summer, last week in July, and that was something I look forward to year round. It was the best vacation in the world because like I always look forward to it, and it wasn't Disney World, it wasn't a crazy expensive vacation,
Right.
but it was the best thing. I look forward to it every year. It was like heaven for me when we go there. Like I remember packing to go, and it was like the best thing you could do.
I hear a lot of stories like that now, where like the family will just rent a cabin in like Salt Fork.
Yeah.
But the family loves it. Like that's what they look forward to all the time.
Because I would go camping with my dad. Like we would do that every summer. We'd go to Punderson. My mom would take us to SMPJ, and we do that every year. And I have lifelong friends from there because it was like different families, and we just all go there and spend a week there together. And it was amazing. Play softball and
My
go
in-laws
fishing and all that
my
shit.
in-laws are from Huron, Ohio, right by Cedar Point. So we rented an Airbnb for the summer, for a week in the summer, right on the lake. So the kids aren't going to know like any different,
Right.
But to them, it may be like the ocean.
Kids don't care.
Right, but it's going to be a great time.
I mean,
Dude, we used to do the Cedar Point thing every year. We'd go stay at the Breakers Hotel.
Breakers, yeah.
And we would go.
It's,
So
like,
we
stupid
the first
expensive
we would
to go
stay.
there.
Oh yeah, we would stay there and we go to Splash.
Splash Mountain.
No, what's the place next to it? Splash City.
City?
Oh,
yeah. So the water park next
Soaks.
to Cedar Point, Soak City.
Yeah,
Soak
Soak
City.
City.
So you go there. So we go there the first day. We'd spend the whole day at Soak City, and then we'd stay overnight, and then we'd go to Cedar Point the next day, and it was like that was amazing.
Right.
I love that vacation too, man. That was
So much fun.
Cedar Point's amazing. Best place in the world.
I haven't been there in a while.
I mean, yeah.
Oh, it's the best.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I don't know. It's hard to say.
think
Back
at
to your
the
back
end-
to go back
Yeah.
to what you were saying about like we don't know how the kids are going to be, how the generation's going to
Yeah, we
be.
kind of went on a tangent.
all we can do as dads, as parents, is try to instill the values, those core values of work hard, be appreciative, just have gratitude, right? And like it's going to be different. I think that we have to get out of our heads that it's going to be the same, because how could it possibly?
Can't be.
I just
It's a
feel like
different era.
I feel like my kids need to learn those values through lessons of some type, and I don't think they're ever faced with
Any type of it.
challenges.
Yeah.
Challenges to really truly learn the lesson. Like some. I don't
And
know,
it's hard. And it's hard to put them in a position
they're
to,
not
to learn
going to
those
be.
lessons, right?
Yeah,
It's hard.
You don't want to disappoint your kids purposely.
It's like, what are you gonna do?
But sometimes there's a lesson out of that. I don't know.
And but you have to, and it's like, yeah, it's gonna suck doing it, right? Like they didn't get what they wanted,
Right.
but that's a life lesson. Like it sucks
is.
because it's hard as a parent to be like, you don't want to disappoint your kids, right? You don't want them to feel the sadness of something not going their way.
I know, but
And,
when
then you think they're gonna be mad at you or upset.
when they get in the job market and they don't get a promotion they want or a job they want, how are they going to handle that
Right,
if they don't
right.
know about?
Well, that's
or
the-
when they go to ask a girl out and she says, you're a loser, get lost.
Right.
How are they gonna handle that? Like
It's a tough one.
I was a pro at getting turned down by girls.
Oh yeah.
Here's the thing I always said too is like when we'd go out and all of our friends were like single and we were like trying to pick up girls at the bar.
Right.
And my thing was always like, I had no issue with going to talk to girls. Like I was just like, I'm gonna go talk and I always said to any of our friends, I'd be like, dude, what is the worst thing that's gonna happen? They're gonna say no. They're not gonna want to talk to you. Fuck it. Move on to the next one, right? Like that's like I always try to be like, it's not a big deal. It's so easy to just go talk and like if you get denied, that's life.
Yeah, there's stories out there about like authors and actors and stuff like that their mentors or coaches will tell them go out and get those no's,
Right.
and you'll learn after like you'll get numb to them, and then you'll get that one lottery
it's like
ticket.
it's the Michael
numb to it, but
Jordan
you'll learn-
quote, right? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Like there's
And you don't want to live in regret.
value in getting like
At least you took your shot.
getting denied, right? And like having the confidence to say, well, maybe I can learn from what I did wrong, and whether it's chicks or it's a job,
A game
interview
or
a
like-
game,
Yeah,
or-
hunting,
Well, that's
hunting or whatever.
yeah, right.
That's the thing is like trying to teach a kid that you're gonna lose. And I try to tell my son this all the time. I'm like, here's the deal, man. You're gonna lose more than you win. That's life.
yeah.
And that's hard to comprehend as a 5-year-old.
It is.
And it's like I get
hard to
frustrated
comprehend
sometimes, like
now.
because we're like you play like board games or something with them, and they get pissed off when they lose. And I'm like, dude, when you lose, you need to say, walk up to whoever you played with and say, good game. Let's run it back. Let's go again.
Right.
That's just what I'm trying to teach the kid. And I talked about this on here before when I was trying to teach my son a life lesson about losing, because we were at a park at Ridge Junior High. Remember I told you this?
Oh yeah.
And I said, oh, Sam was like, he wanted to race Ben. And Ben's a lot slower than him. He's 2 years younger.
Right.
Sam burned him, right? And he gets to the finish line and he goes,
Gloating.
and he's gloating and he's just throwing it in Ben's face and Ben's upset. And I'm like, see, Sam, like, you can't do that. That's just not right. You can't be a sore winner. That's just not how you do it. He's like, well, he goes, well, then race me. I'm like, you want to race? You want to see how it feels when you lose? Okay. So I just crushed him, obviously.
You have to.
And then he falls on the ground. He's crying, and I'm like, "Oh yeah!" And I'm jumping up and down, like trying to show him how it feels. And I'm like, "See, that's what it's like." Well, meanwhile, there's people inside of Ridge Junior High, or it's an elementary school now, and they see me out. They're probably watching me through the window, like, "Wow, this guy's a piece of shit." Man.
You're on YouTube somewhere.
Yeah, probably. Like, and I'm like standing over. I'm like, "What? Say something." But I mean, I'm trying to teach him though. Like, you can't act like that. Like, you just can't be a sore.
Even if you're playing like Connect 4, my daughter loses her mind if she loses.
Yeah.
Or if she wins, she's like prancing around dancing. And I try to tell her like how do I explain to her? I was like, the best, you guys will get the drift. Like the person everyone wants to hang out with isn't like the best ball player. It's the one who's cooperative and gets everyone involved and plays. Those are the kids that I think that are become
Yeah, 100%.
the favorite around their
Well, yeah,
peers,
because like if you're gonna sit there and like, sure, you're the better one, you're beating everybody. If you're gonna be an asshole about it,
Right.
no one's gonna want to hang out with you. No one's gonna be around
But
you.
maybe you're not as good as the number one, but you're involving everybody. You're the team guy. You're cooperating with everybody.
Yeah.
I think those are the people that that other people gravitate to create your network. And
Yeah, and that's what I try to teach them is like, listen, buddy, if you win, just go up to them and be like, hey, good game. Or if you lose, good game. Like, just be.
So Gibbs is playing flag football, and this is the first team sport that he's ever played that is competitive.
Which
Right.
they count wins and losses.
They count wins and losses. They have like stats. Like it's awesome. I love it. But up until this point, it was
Everyone gets a
T-ball.
trophy,
Yeah, everyone gets participation.
Well, it's like
whatever.
at the end of the day, you're getting a trophy.
So it was like, I think it was the very first practice. And, the kids are just basically running up and down and trying to learn formations and things like that. And, Gibbs, he won one of the races and he was like dancing and, doing all that. I'm like, listen. So after practice, I was trying not to be the.
Yeah, you don't want to go
dad
step in
that,
the
like,
middle. Yeah.
Steps in the middle of it. 'Cause, by the way, his coach is like a freaking saint. Like,
Who,
he's-
Kevin?
No, not Kevin. I mean, Kevin's great too, but no, like the head coach, like he's so patient with these kids. It's a bunch of 5 and 6 year olds
Well, yeah.
trying to learn how to play football. Like it's hilarious. But I remember I had a conversation with him afterwards. I was like, "Look, I'm proud of you for doing well. Here's what you have to remember: it's okay to have emotion. Try to focus that emotion on your teammates." He's like, "Well, what do you mean? They didn't win. I won." I'm like, "Yeah, but
It's a
you're
team.
a team. So when somebody else wins, high five them, do whatever
Pick
you
'em
got to
up.
do, pick them up.
Yeah.
If somebody loses or somebody falls during that race, like, finish your race, but then go help them up, like." And I was just trying to like say like emotions okay. Like, I don't want you to be not excited because I want you to celebrate the victories, but you need to do it as a team and not an individual, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And again, probably way over his head. But I will say this. The last game that they had, so the first game they lost, the second game they won. And when they won, to see these 5 and 6 year old kids like slapping hands with each other and like so excited and like kind of jumping up and doing like the chest bumps and, you know, they're imitating things, but they're also genuinely happy that they came together and they won a ball game.
That's great.
It was amazing.
Well, that's the thing though. It's like, as a child at that age, it's like losing sucks, right? I mean, like as an adult or like a collegiate level or high school level, losing a game fucking blows.
Yeah,
Sure does.
You're gonna be pissed, but you got to go out there and show respect and go shake the other team's hands. But like as a child, it's hard to keep that type of mindset. Like
Compartmentalize.
yeah,
That's
you
one
got
thing
to
that I
go out there
worry
and like get out there and go congratulate the winning team when you.
That's one
get
thing I
your ass
worry about
kicked.
with COVID and stuff is like they're not like shaking hands. They all like line up and say hi, you know, hey, good game.
Yeah, they stand across each other.
They stand across from each other, but like it's not the same thing. It's like I remember playing baseball, like especially like tournament games and stuff like that. When you had to line up and go shake hands, like after losing a game, like I mean, we talked to Huber the one time on the show, like we would get in fights,
Dude,
because I was pissed off that we lost.
As an adult, like when I was playing softball a few years back, dude, like you play in these softball games, like when I was playing softball in my late 20s, like actually my early 30s too, I was still playing. But I mean, these games got heated, man. Like they get like you're talking like these grown men, and it's getting
Losing
heated.
sucks.
And then like, well, for example, you have a guy on your team who hits a line drive at the pitcher, and then the other team's pissed because that's just a big no-no. Like you should be able to control where you hit the ball. So then you have these guys on the other team lining up trying to crush your pitcher. So then there's back and forth, and people
Is
are
that
just
a thing in softball? I mean, I never played.
So
softball.
like you don't hit the ball at the pitcher.
that
Like,
makes sense.
Like a lot of times, there's times where you're gonna mess up,
Right.
But you're gonna hear it.
Right.
So you got guys jawing back and forth, and like I've never been the guy that I'm going to sit there and talk shit to somebody, but it's happening in the game.
Right.
And then like at the end of the game, you got to go shake these guys' hands, and like these people are like,
They
want to fight,
Yeah,
you know?
Right.
And some of these guys are drinking,
Oh yeah.
you know, and
Drinking
like
it, yeah.
these guys are competitive.
Yeah.
Like so, I mean, as kids, like you got to teach that lesson early on, and it's tough to hold those emotions
It'll
in.
be interesting to see how this all shakes out with like
Like
dependency,
the COVID, yeah.
shaking hands.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because at some point you're taught either you learn on your own or maybe you have a grandpa that teaches you like stand up straight, stick your hand
Right.
out,
Yeah.
look him in the eye,
Look in
shake
the
your
eye.
hand.
Yep.
Right now, no one's shaking hands.
Right.
So, well, it's a big.
It's a
It's
metaphor,
weird-
though.
it's weird, man.
Like,
Okay, yeah.
not a metaphor, but it's a symbol of respect, right? And so, like, how do we do? I mean, maybe that's a conversation that hasn't happened yet. Is like, all right, you know, if I assume that at some point shaking hands is going to come back, but I've heard a lot of adults say like, I'm so glad that like we're done with this. I'm not doing it anymore, and I'm thinking to myself like, well, how do we teach? Like, I'm just now thinking about it. By the way, I'm not like recollect,
Right.
whatever. But like, what do we do?
Well, it's
How
funny
do we
because like
teach those kids?
Because I mean, think about how many times you go meet somebody, whether it be like in the professional setting, like you
Yeah.
go up to somebody's hand, go up to them, shake their hand, and that's just like what you do.
yeah,
Yeah, you go to shake someone's hand, they're like, elbow,
Elbows at
or
work.
like hit the rock, and I'm like, yeah. Because I remember when we first came back into the studio, and it was like our first time coming back in, and I shook someone's hand, like you bring them in, you give them a hug, and like
Yeah.
I did that to somebody. I'm like, dude, it's the first time I've done that with somebody in months.
Right.
I'm like, I felt great.
yeah.
Like I haven't hugged my grandma in over a year.
I'm a huge hugger.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too.
And I
Same.
love the old bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
half,
A
bring
little bit
it
on the
in.
back.
Bring it in, yeah.
Slap
yeah,
on the
yeah,
back. That's
I'll do it to some people that they'll let me,
yeah.
but some people are like, hey,
or the elbow. Or
the elbow. The elbow is always the worst.
They're ready to joust you, you know.
Like, hey, listen, man. I'm gonna shake your hand. Go grab some hand sanitizer afterwards.
right,
If it's gonna bother you, go grab some hand
Just don't pick your
sanitizer.
nose after you shake someone's hand.
Yeah,
right.
don't start rubbing your face.
I wonder with the kids though, like if that becomes like I mean, remember this is their formative years,
what I
right?
was
Like,
getting at.
are they going? Is that just going to go away? Like, what replaces that? How do we? Because again, the shaking the hands, the hugging, the dapping up, whatever you want to call it, is is really just a sign of respect for that other human in front
Well,
of
and
you.
it goes like you said, like your grandpa teaches you like stand up straight, shake their hand, and you get in there and you give a firm handshake. And we've all been like you've all shook a hand of someone who doesn't. Like
Oh,
you grab
yeah.
their hand and they hold their hand like you squeeze their hand, you feel like you break it. You're like, and I'm talking about like some people like professionally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You go to shake their hand and you give them like that little. You feel like you broke their hand. You feel like their hand crack.
Right.
So I guess they didn't learn that. Like that was always something with me. Like I would go to shake your dad's hand,
Oh yeah.
and he would like his dad would always come in there like.
But then on the reverse,
Break
you have the concrete guy that's using a jackhammer all day.
But I'm telling you, like I got these
mitts. Yeah.
right. But like I always knew to like when I go in there, I'm
coming in for the
firm,
real thing,
and I'm squeezing your hand
It's
like
it's kind of like an alpha male thing. Like,
It is.
Like, hey, I'm not.
You're sizing them up almost.
Yeah,
by their handshake.
almost.
But you know what's the worst though is that you go in there for like a real handshake with somebody, and you know you're gonna give them a good handshake, but they get you early.
Oh,
And they get your fingers. And I always say, I'm like,
dude,
I'm like,
you gotta do that
but
again.
we gotta redo this because I'm not doing that. I'm like, that's not how I shake hands.
You ever have that awkward, even before pandemic time, like the one guy's a fist bump.
Yeah, you go in there like this, and then you're like,
picking rock, paper, scissors. Yeah,
the best was I think it was like it was a professional two professional athletes and they did that and I forget who it was, like Peyton Manning or something like that, and he goes in there like guy goes in for hit the
it was
rock
Tom
and goes,
Brady.
and he goes in there he like, grabs the guy's hand and he's like
Yeah.
it was Brady. Wasn't
It was Tom Brady and
It was so
I
awkward.
can't remember who the other guy was.
Well, so many like personal etiquette has gone away with just texting. You don't even pick up the phone and call somebody.
That's true, yeah.
So who knows what's on the horizon as far as the
we always talk about it, man.
what
It's
do
all
we
gonna be
do?
virtually.
So
It's all-
what do we do? Like, what's the sign of respect? Like, how can we?
What's up?
Yeah, right.
Nod.
I
Like,
thought you were saying hi to someone. I'm like,
Just
who's over there?
like who's I see
but
I see dead people now
like,
that I
do
got
we-
my shot.
Tomorrow, I'll let you know if I see anybody.
There's a guy, he's been sitting in that chair this whole time. You guys don't see him?
yeah, totally.
As the night goes on, I'm seeing more.
Yeah.
Of them.
But like, do we need to come up with something that's appropriate for the time?
I think you'll see
also
in the next year or 6 months after everybody starts to get more comfortable. I think you'll start to see how things are going to be, right? Like as far as handshaking,
yeah.
people being comfortable
how-
around each other.
Yeah.
I think the mask thing, even after the mandate's over, like whenever that does happen, I think you're still going to see a ton of people wearing masks.
Sure.
Like that's
Yeah.
like
You're not ready to
Japan,
take it
right?
off.
Japan is like a lot of
China.
people wear
and
China.
Japan, yeah.
A lot of people been wearing masks for years.
Right.
Yeah. Well, like today at the Wilson Center, I grabbed the door from somebody who had it open. So I'm holding it with like my forearm.
Yeah.
And then the guy behind me, oh, thanks. So he replaced my forearm with like his forearm. So when is it going to be like,
Yeah.
Grab the door again.
grab the door again and go?
So, like, I think about it a lot now, like grabbing a handle on the door. But I'm still not as like, I'm not crazy cautious. I am. I know I am. Like, I think about it a lot.
Unintentionally, I bet
Yeah.
you are.
Yeah. But I still will grab a handle. I mean, I have to get out of the bathroom.
Right.
yeah.
You know, I have to grab the handle. And it's like, damn, I just wash my hands. I mean, a lot of times I'll take a paper towel with me and grab the handle and open
But
it
you
and
wash
then
your
toss
hands
it.
when
Yeah.
you're done immediately.
Yeah. But it's like, man, I the amount of hand sanitizer I've gone through.
I know. I always have a bottle in my car. As soon as we all get in, come on, guys. It's like,
Well,
that's why I hope that phase goes away. I hope.
It's weird, right? Like, these are things that
you just never thought about doing before, though,
yeah,
right?
you
It's a
just-
complete change.
a lot of behaviors have just changed. And for us, we sit here and talk about, man, I can't wait for things to be normal again.
They won't be.
But for the kids,
There won't be. No.
but for the kids, they're learning this as normal, right? Like, and I'm not even saying that it's a bad thing. It's just different.
Right.
And so how is that going to shape, like, again, like when Gibbs and Sam are 12 years old, are they, I mean, they probably will be because they haven't really, their relationship hasn't changed.
Yeah.
But like when they're in a group of friends, are they all like doing handshakes
Do
or
they
are
have
they
like a-
fist bumping?
Yeah, they have
or
like a
are
Caribbean, like they have like the little thing on their belt like, with hand sanitizer. They shake hands. They're like,
Right. Yeah.
You know, I mean,
don't
like,
know. It's
I don't
just
know.
gonna be, it'll be interesting to see.
My hope is that they just forget about it and they move on and try to do their own things. Because like I remember what was it in the 90s when the SARS broke out in Canada? You would watch like the Blue Jays. You watch in the news of the Blue Jay games. People would have masks on in the crowds. But I don't remember that because it wasn't here. You know?
Right.
But
Well,
now,
it wasn't.
But now it's here, and so you may have these kids where they're like. They're newborn or 2 years old or 3 years old or whatever, and they're like they've never seen a stranger without their mask on.
Yeah.
How they're gonna react when they see faces? I don't know.
Yeah.
yeah, it's weird.
it's
It's,
the kind of things I
weird to
think
think
about,
about,
too.
man. I mean, we've gone through some crazy flus that have gone, come and gone. Like, you had the bird flu, SARS, swine flu, all these crazy things that have happened. Mad cow disease. Ebola. Like, we've gone through it, right? And then you just forget about it. And you go on, and then
this one was way
I know that. This is completely different. This is like a worldwide, crazy thing. Like, where there was like mandates, like masks, and like you're locked down.
Warranted or not is irrelevant. Like, we did it.
We did it.
We did it a year.
You didn't have a choice. You just did it, and that was life.
Maybe that has to go back to like the programming of a human brain that you just maybe automatically forget bad.
Yeah, you just dump things. Like it's like having kids, right? Like you do something. And like it works for that time period. It works for like you have a newborn and like you're going through it at that time, and then all of a sudden you just dump it and you forget about it.
Think about a woman going through labor. It's painful, but then in a year they're like, I think I want to have another kid.
Yeah. It's like, are you crazy?
You were just screaming at me at the bed 9 months ago.
Yeah. It's like, you want to do that again? Okay, weird.
Like, maybe the brain recycles off and dumps.
Yeah, you just forget about the crazy, terrible shit, and you just move on and you do it again.
Psychology's weird, man. Like. It will definitely be interesting. I hope that as parents we can adapt with it versus trying to like what I think about is, whether it's virtual learning or sports not shaking hands, whatever, like I don't want to be that dad in the stands that's like, you fucking go shake their hands. I don't care what the rules are. You know what I mean? Like, I think that we need to...
What's appropriate for the setting.
Right.
Yes, do whatever else.
Be cognizant of the setting. And so again, like, can we figure out a different way that like is respectful and I don't know. It's going
to be interesting how we all react to it. I think mentally I want to say that when a baseball game is letting full capacity,
right,
that I'll be like, let's go. Let's take the kids. Let's go and be around all these people, like on top of each other. Like, that'll be freaking weird because for a year,
it will be weird.
We haven't done it. We've been to a game, right? We've been to a game and we were completely separated. Yeah. There's no one around you.
Have you guys heard on the radio I think it's Bud Light. I don't know.
Oh,
sounds of the
old days. Oh, yeah, it's like 2019. Yeah, like
getting up to go to the bathroom at the ball game.
Excuse me.
Watch it here. Yeah. Like that would be weird if
it would be weird,
that close
man.
To me, trying to go to the bathroom.
Remember that? Like, you're sitting in the middle, like you're at a game and you're like in the middle of a row, and you're like, I gotta get up and piss. Excuse me, move.
Sorry.
Yeah, hey, sorry, man, bumping into people.
And it was an
people
inconvenience, right? It was an inconvenience. Now, if you have to do that, it's like, dude,
I guess I'll just hold it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I guess I'll just wait.
Yeah.
Is there a way I can pee in my seat? Yeah, can I just hold it to the side and pee on the ground? Like, I mean. I don't know, man. It's going to be so weird. It's going to be weird. It's going to be funny, though. I mean, I don't know. Because, we'll all be fine. We'll get through it.
Right.
But it's going to be weird to see the outcome.
I know.
And then, like you said, what the future will hold.
Right. Well,
with the kids.
I don't know.
What I found
was weird thought.
What I found was weird was when you go to these the vaccination center today, I was fully expecting some National Guard soldier with an M4 pointing it at me that I had to post a picture of my vaccine when I was done with it. But that wasn't.
That didn't happen. Yeah, you post this on Facebook right now,
you
son.
You need to post this.
I'm poking fun at it.
Yeah,
no, but you're right though, because I actually asked the same question. I got back to work and I had my card and I had it in my back pocket. I'm like, guys, am I supposed to take a picture and post it on social media? I'm like, is that like required of me? Because will people actually talk to me now that they know I have it? Yeah, all joking aside, like, I know it's funny, but I'm not trying to offend anybody by that because that's cool. If you're excited about it,
I'm poking fun at it.
It's one of those things. Like, I just hope that you hear the comments like, oh, well, if we all get it, then we could all hang out again. It's like, well, we've been hanging out, like,
right?
Not
necessary risk. You got to take,
I'll do it. I did it, and I feel more. I'm comfortable knowing that, like, hey, if I, like Ian said, like, if I want to travel, then I feel more comfortable now that like they'll be like, you have your card.
Well,
I'm good to go.
Now my stress level went from getting sick to now holding onto that stupid card for a year.
What's the thing is, I'm gonna.
I don't even know where my passport is.
Well, I put mine on like, I have to have it for my next shot. I'm like, I gotta make sure I don't lose this thing. Actually, because I had it like I have like this little cork board next to my desk, and originally I stuck it to it. I'm like, no, just take it home. Now that I'm thinking about it, I have no fucking clue where that thing is.
Because it's bigger than your wallet.
It can't fit in there.
I know exactly where mine is because I was like, I don't want to lose this. I put it in the center console of my truck.
I think mine's in the center console. I think about
left it in there. So
but I'm just thinking because I remember leaving work today because I had a half day, and I'm like, I should leave this here because I'm not going to need it for 22 days.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, shit. Did I leave it at work or is it in my car?
I know.
It's probably in my pocket of the clothes that I wore earlier.
So what is it? Every year we have to get a booster after these two?
It's probably like the flu shot.
I don't know.
It's gonna be like the flu shot.
I've heard that it will be, and that like different strains, whatever. But then I've also heard that like the Pfizer, if you get both doses, you can be good for up to 3 years.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, but I don't know if any of that is substantiated. I think it's going to be see where we're at.
Either of you guys get Pfizer.
That's what I got.
You guys get your what's the erection pill?
Viagra.
Viagra. Did you guys get your Viagra with it? They gave me like a full pack of it. Pfizer. You didn't get that?
No, I didn't get it.
Oh, losers.
You want to share it?
That was a joke I was saying at work though. I'm like, guys, I was great. I got Pfizer. They gave me my Viagra with it. It was fantastic. I got my little blue pills.
There were some good jokes going around about that. Like the people who made Viagra are making the COVID.
Right.
But that's one guy said at work. He's like, man, I left. He's like, and I didn't get my erection yet, but he's like, once I get home, better be there.
Yeah, but you tell the person who gave you the shot, like, so if I have a boner for 4 hours, who do I call? You or do I call my doctor?
The thought of that, and we're getting a little dirty with this, but like the thought of having that for 4 hours, like, be terrible.
Well, I'm not calling my doctor, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Back to that rejection piece where you learn how to be rejected.
Yeah, there you go. You can guarantee that's happening. Cool.
Yeah,
like,
that's where you have to...
life lessons.
Oh, man.
That's the life lesson you can put your head on.
Oh, God. So, I don't know, man. I don't even know where we go from here.
No, I mean, I think that was a good topic. I mean, that all stemmed from
The parking lot.
jerks and...
Yeah, I threw that in.
Or I say jerk, but like... presumably a jerk and
probably the best guy in the world, probably a phenomenal dad. And I always try to tell myself this, like when you're driving and you get pissed off at somebody who like, or you see somebody being an asshole on the road, like they fly it past you and they cut you off and they're rushing to get to the exit, like, screw that guy, But it's like, think about this: what if there was an emergency and they need to be at the hospital or they need to get to their house or like a family member's house or something was going wrong? You can't judge somebody just off of like
no idea.
You have no idea what's going on with anybody. Because I've been there. Like, like I get a phone call that, hey, you need to get to the hospital. So it's not looking good. Your kid might not make it through the night. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going 100 miles an hour down trying to get to the fucking hospital. And I'm screaming at the top of my lungs at like, like just pissed off at God, like, why are you doing this to me? And like,
right,
sure. You don't know what someone's going through. Right. Like, so it could be anything.
So tie that back to our last conversation we had about philosophy and Stoic. There's Epictetus said a quote. It's not what's, I'm going to screw it up, but it's your opinion of what's happening.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if someone does cut you off, you have the right to have an opinion of saying, okay, A, this guy is a dick, or B, well, maybe he is rushing to the hospital.
Yeah.
Maybe he's rushing his wife to delivery. Maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe he's
so something,
or maybe he's just an asshole, but you don't know.
Like,
but you have the right to have the
theoretical thing is okay. So you have the right to have that opinion,
or not have
one.
Yeah.
But something that you should ask yourself. This came from a Business Mastery actually. Was ask yourself, is this true? So like you have your opinion, that's fine. Really ask yourself, is this true? Is this a fact? Like this asshole is speeding and cut me off. Is this true? And then what was the second one? Like, how does that make you feel? Mm-hmm. And the third one was, how would it make you feel if that didn't happen? Right. So like if you can go through those things like to yourself, number one, it's giving you time to decompress and say, like, actually
you
think
run that through your
about
mind,
something.
Right.
But like, I've been doing that, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, so and so, whatever. We had a parent that decided not to enroll at the center, and it's like, well, this is bullshit. Like they think that
screw them.
Okay, well, is this true? Do they actually think that? how did that make me feel? Well, if it was true and they did that, like, I'm pissed off, but what can I do better so that way this doesn't happen again? And if it wasn't true, then how does that make me feel? Well, that makes me feel like shit that, like, they're in a situation that they just couldn't make it happen or you know, whatever it was. And, like, it starts to bring it back to just thinking critically about the situation and having
an open mind,
and gratitude.
And
about
an open mind is a good point. Like I've been trying to get really good, not really good at that. I'm trying to practice that. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
To work. Like if someone's being a major asshole, say at work, well, then I think to myself, all right, well maybe he slept on the couch for a month because
something personally going on at home.
Maybe he's sleeping in his car. Maybe he's having some kind of crisis that is bleeding over into work, and that's why he's acting that way.
Right.
Because we've all been there, right? We've had those things that piss us off, and it ruins your mood.
And I don't go into those kind of details. I just say, oh, maybe he's going through some things.
Right.
And it bleeds over.
Yeah.
And it's a one-off thing.
I tell my people all the time, like, listen, you know, whether it's a staff member or it's a parent or, you know, somebody saying something on social media or whatever it is like, listen, humans have bad days.
Right.
You cannot look at me. You can't look at yourself in the mirror and say that you've never had a bad day and said something that you regretted or, you know, whatever.
Or just be in a shitty mood or like, someone's trying to talk to you and you're just like,
it's the same thing
whatever.
with like us as parents, right? Like I've said some shit to my kids where I had a bad day.
Yeah.
And so like I try to remember that.
Frustration boils over and you take it out on somebody else.
Right.
That's what happens.
You know,
it's life.
That is life. And if we can take a step back, is this true? How does that make me feel? Like, I think that's a really good exercise.
Absolutely. I'm telling you, man.
Like self-restraint.
For sure. Like, and I think like going back to the business mastery thing, like since then, and it's only been a week, but my motivation is still, it's there, man. I'm feeling good. Like I'm trying to carry it over. And like James is texting me like, Steve, you still feeling good? You still doing your routine, this and that? And I'm like, yeah, man, I'm feeling good. I'm like, doing it. But it also helped me with being a dad. Right? Like I go home and like my son we have somebody over our house last week and he's throwing a fit about something and it's ridiculous. Like it's something very minuscule that's pissing him off. And it's like, it's so annoying to me that he's reacting this way. So I'm like, you know what? Let's try to handle this a different way. Instead of yelling and being like, stop acting like, why are you being like this in front of all these people? Like I take him outside. I go, let's go outside real quick. So we go on the patio and then I'm like, hey buddy, I know you're frustrated and I know this is really bothering you. I'm like, why don't you sit out here and just kind of, if you want to, cry it out. I understand. Just take a break for a minute. And, you know, I'm like, it's not a big deal. I'm like, I understand it's a big deal for you right now, but let's just try to cry it out for a minute.
Right. Yeah.
And like, let's take a deep breath and come back in. And he handles it so much better. And I've been doing that a lot with him lately.
That's
like,
good.
just settle him down to like, I understand you're frustrated. I'm like, I get that. Like, let's be frustrated and let's get it out of your system now. And then let's just cool down.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to do that more often with him because
that's like back to the sports thing. Like, I want you to have emotion.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's okay.
You just got to teach them how to handle it.
Because that's going to drive
Have your emotion. Let's think about the situation. You know, what do you want to see happen? Are you frustrated that this other kid took your toy, or are you frustrated that like no one's paying attention to you? Like, let's talk that out. And like, if we let them communicate verbally and non-verbally, right? Like emotions and everything else, like, let them cry it out. Let them stomp their feet. You know,
go out, like James said,
roar deck.
Roar deck.
Tommy Brew was in here last week, and like his kids they go on the deck, and his kid roars like a dinosaur when he's frustrated.
Go outside and just
roar
roar it out.
Amazing.
Yeah,
that's a great.
You know,
that's what I told Sam. I'm like, I took that idea from Tom. I'm like, let's go outside.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
so
cry it
smart.
out. I'm like, just go scream, do whatever you want out here, and then come back in and let's just cool down. Yep. And the cool thing is, since I started kind of working on this a lot more, like seeing the difference in him. Like today, Liz and I were trying to have a conversation, like in the car on the way home, and we were I wasn't blocking him out, but we were talking, so I'm not like paying attention to him. And he goes, and instead of like screaming like he usually would, he would like flip out and be like, go nuts. He goes, oh, I guess you guys just don't really care about like what my toy that I have back here, what he was working on, what he wanted to show us. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, buddy. Like, I turn around and like, we're all very calm. He's very calm about it. Good. I'm like, no, that's really awesome, man. I'm very sorry that mommy and daddy weren't paying attention to you. But he handled it completely different than he usually does.
He's actually being passive aggressive about it.
He was though, and I'm like, he's like, I guess no one cares. And that's bad.
I guess I'll just sit back here by myself.
But you know what's funny too is like, you know, we've all been there. Like when you see your kids acting like you do, and you're like, sometimes whether it's awesome or it's fucking terrible, and you're like, damn it, that's 100% me.
I know.
But that's honestly though, like real quick, that's a really good step though, because he's not screaming, right?
Yeah,
like,
he didn't flip out.
My kids do that, like Sloan especially. She'll like, I'm so mad. I'm like, okay, you said the words that I told you to say. Like, you're allowed to be mad, but like, let's tone it down a notch. Let's just have a conversation.
I'm like, and I always try to say, I'm like, is this really affecting anything? I'm like, is this that big of a deal right now that your toy's on the floor in the car and you can't reach it?
Right.
I'm like, when I get to it, I'll get it. I'm like,
Let's not crash.
let's just relax for a minute.
So my daughter's a pro at that. If we're talking, adults are talking here, she will butt in anyway. She'll butt in like one of you don't even exist.
Right.
And but like today, I'm laying on the couch just kind of vegging out, and she goes, "Do you want to play?" I go, "Yeah, we'll play in a minute." And that's my way of saying like, "Yeah,
no.
Yeah, see you later."
And she goes, "Because you should play with me as much as you can because I'm gonna grow up really fast, and you're gonna miss it."
Gee.
And I
That cuts deep.
yeah.
Dagger.
I froze in my tracks like, what the fuck? Like, where did you learn this? I just couldn't believe she's
And it's
6 years
so
old.
6 years
true.
old.
6
Great.
years old. She said that.
I try to remind myself that too. Like, man, they're all they want you to do is play with them.
So, yeah.
And like, you're like, no, I'm busy.
Think
No,
about that,
I'm like,
too.
I'm trying to relax. Leave me alone. And then like, one day they're not. You're gonna be the one.
Cats in the cradle action.
You're gonna be like, hey, you want to hang out? You want to go here with me?
Yeah,
I'm like,
right.
fuck no, I'm gonna go hang out with my friends, or I'm gonna play on my phone, or I'm gonna play these games. Like, you go do whatever you want. I don't want to hang out with you. Like,
I mean,
you're gonna miss these days of them asking us to play with them.
well, and really break that down, right? Like at the end of the day, I'm gonna say 90% of your kids' problems, and again, I say problems like what's going on in their
Generality.
heads,
Yeah.
can be solved by you playing with them,
Give them that attention.
play tag, play monster trucks, play dinosaurs,
Playing is really
play
powerful
Barbies,
exercise.
whatever it is. Like that's how they learn. That's how they communicate. There was something I was reading the other day about what was it? It was like it was more like preschool oriented, like 3-4 years old, and it was like, you know, understand that your kid might not be developmentally ready to write their name, but what they can do is they can play with Play-Doh. They can, color. They can, whatever it is that they're doing, and all those things are manipulating their hands and their fingers,
Gross motor skills.
fine motor skills, so that way that they can, when they're developmentally ready, that's when they can
Move on to
write.
the next thing.
I mean, just at the end of the day, at that age, play is the answer.
I'll be honest with
Yeah.
you. Like that is one of my big shortcomings is playing. Like I don't stop in my tracks and get on the floor and
We're all guilty of it, man.
Make funny voices, funny noises, or play with Barbies. And like we talked about helping me grow last time I was on here.
Yeah.
And their huge platform is just based around playing.
Yeah.
Right, like, using your imagination, and we
Developing words, and motor skills, all that good stuff.
and we talked about this a couple times since we did, like, actually maybe it was just with Tom, like about that short time of them being little like this, right?
Right.
And how quickly that goes, and like we need to just think about how important that is and take the time. And it's so hard though, because like you have a long day at work, and you're tired, and you don't want to be imagined. You don't want to be like playing these voice games and like, oh, yeah, this is like using their imagination. Because you're like, and you don't do it like, you do it half-assed. You're like, I'm a dinosaur, rawr. Like you're like frustrated about it. Like that sucks.
Yeah, that's no fun.
And you don't think about it at the moment because it's so easy to just overlook that, and it sucks, man. It's just like, but you gotta. I'm saying this for me. You gotta just do it, right?
Yeah.
And like, then you'll feel better about it.
And here's what I would say about that too is like, now, if you're completely dramatic about being half-assed about it, and I've done that so many times.
We've
like,
all done it. Yeah, cool, yeah,
whatever.
like-
But like, if you're just half-assed and like not exaggerating it, that is still so important to them because you're
still doing
spending
it.
the time
Yeah.
with them. You know
So I'm
what
not-
I mean?
I'm not a complete asshole is what you're saying.
No, absolutely not. I mean, you're just like half an asshole.
Yeah, I'll be half-assed.
No, I mean seriously. Like if you told me before kids that my biggest responsibility with my kids is to play with them. That's sign
easy.
Me up.
Yeah, that's so
you
easy.
Know what I mean? But we're stretched so thin. Work, bills,
projects,
what
you
or you want to make time to work out. I mean, we're expected right now, or whether it's, I think we've always had this expectation, but with socials and everything else, it's definitely exaggerated. But you need to exercise regularly. You need to eat well. You need to have a job. You need to have, or have a career. You also need to have like a side hustle. You also have to have a good relationship with your spouse. You also have to, what I mean? Mm-hmm. All of these things, right?
Right.
And there's all these expectations. And at the end of the day, like, we should look at playing with our kids as an escape from that reality versus a burden, like one more thing I have to do. Like, yeah, and again, kind of like you just said, I'm saying this for myself.
Yeah.
Because like, how many times
You got to remind yourself.
Oh man, I have 15 minutes where I could sit down and just like look at my phone, or I've been trying to leave my phone in the other room a lot now. Like,
Well, I mean, I think you're probably noticing
it.
that with me because you'll text me and I won't respond to you for like 2 hours. Yeah. I'm like, I'm sorry, dude. I was just like, my phone's been away
honestly,
for a while.
It like inspires me. So I've been doing that. I've been like, all right, I'm going to set my phone down in here. I'm going to go in the other room with the kids, and the temptation's gone, right? And so then I can focus on them, and even if it's for 20 minutes, that 20 minutes to them is hours. Right?
It's gold.
Like
that time's gold.
Like I literally had a tickle session with my son and daughter. Was it last night? Yeah, it was last night. Chelsea's like, hey, you think you can put the kids to bed tonight? I just had a long day. I'm like, yeah, I got it. So this is what we did. We read a story, or we were trying to read a story. I'm like, where's your big Easter book? Easter's coming up.
Yeah.
And they couldn't find it. And at first I was like, all right, we'll just pick another book. Yeah. And they were like looking at me with these blank stares. I'm like, all right, let's make up our own story. You guys ever play like you say one word and you go around and you come up with your own story?
No, but I like it.
No, I like that.
All right, so listen to this. This could be a dad hack, by the way.
I like it. I'm ready to hit the button.
All right.
That's what she said.
So I don't remember where this is from. It must have been from daycare, that I learned a while ago.
You learned some good stuff there.
But, you would come up with a story. And so I would say once, you go upon a time. And so we just went through and we talked about like dragons and unicorns and like
make a great story that way.
Farts coming out with fire and like, it's silly and it's funny. And we were having so much fun. And Chelsea, who was like, hey, I just need to go to bed early. She actually got up and like came in and joined in on
it's fun.
Like I like came up here and I was like, dude, this is amazing. Like we hadn't had that much fun, just like laughing. And we're trying to recall the whole story and everything. And they're laughing. And
you should write it down.
I will say this: it was very difficult to put them to bed afterwards because they got very silly.
Well, that's the thing is like you start doing those activities and you're having a blast, and then they're full of it. You're like, damn
it was
it.
like 9 o'clock.
Yeah,
like, all right, you guys, it's time for bed now. No, but let's just do one more.
And
round.
then the frustration might start then, and you're like, damn it, why don't you just go to bed?
But like, no, like you take that time, and again, that was a situation where. Normally I would just be like, well, just fine, pick any other book that we've read a million times, but I don't know, like something.
That's great though. You came up with something.
Right?
I'll give that a dad hack right there. Start it down low this time.
Dad hack.
I like that one. That was good.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try that because bedtime's a kind of a hassle at our house too.
Yeah,
and I'm sure that's common with most people. Yeah, but like if my wife works during the week and she comes home at 9. At 8 o'clock, they're showered and with pajamas on, and I'm like, guys, half hour bed. I'm giving them a warning. Oh, you get these crocodile tears the whole time. Oh, I'm thirsty.
Yeah,
I'm hungry. I want mom again. And I tell them like, you go to bed every night, don't you? Yeah. Like, tonight's no different. I try to rationalize them, but it doesn't make any sense.
No, because they don't have any concept of time,
right?
Especially when the season change, like the
time change. Yeah.
The time change is miserable. Like Sam's like, he's like, it's light outside. I'm like, I know, buddy, but I've explained this, and I say this like he knows. I'm like, I've explained this to you 100 times that when the time changes,
the farmers need it.
The farmers need the time to change. The days are longer, so when you usually go to bed, it's going to be lighter outside. Why don't you understand this?
I don't understand.
I still don't get the point of this. The days are going to get longer naturally. I don't understand either.
It always drives me crazy though when they're like, why they with my wife they want to go to bed for her, but with me it's like, oh, I'm gonna make this guy
work for you gotta work for it.
Yeah.
See, like
one more story,
because if one starts crying, the other one's just gonna blow up too.
Yep.
And then
it's funny, man. The kids are just unbelievable with that. Like, so like a lot of times during the week, like our schedule's crazy, so like a couple days a week, my parents will have them, or Liz's parents will have them. So I'll go after work. I'll drive over to my in-laws' house, and then they'll make me dinner, and I'll hang out with the kids until like 7, and then I'll drive them home. Well, sometimes at least one of them will pass out on the way home, and it's like, this is awesome.
It's a good night.
Carry them into bed because I bring their pajamas with me when I go to their house. I get them in their pajamas, take tubbies at their house.
Yeah,
they're all ready, and I just boom. Sam's always the one that falls asleep. Ben, that kid, he'll come home like last night or a couple nights ago. I don't know if I sent you the Snapchat, and I don't think I did. I had this bike up in the family room, and he gets on that thing, and it's like 9:30, and he's just on this bike, and he's pedaling 100 miles an hour, and he's like,
Can he reach the pedals?
They sit like on the bottom, like the crossbar.
Yeah,
they sit on that and they pedal that way.
Is it an exercise bike?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's just going 100 miles an hour. I'm like, dude, it's 9:30. He goes, I'm gonna go watch Ninja Turtles. I'm like, no, you're not. I'm like, we're reading a book.
Second kids, man.
He's like, I'm gonna watch Ninja Turtles. I'm like, all right, we'll watch Ninja Turtles. We'll watch one episode and we're going to bed. So he's laying in my bed watching Ninja Turtles, and he loves it. He'll like sing the theme song. It's hilarious.
It's fantastic.
But that kid will not go to. Sam is great. Sam goes to bed. He knows.
Gibbs always goes to bed.
Ben is just like, I'm not going to bed. But to go back to the using their imagination, a few weeks ago we built a fort in the family room. The kids wanted to build a fort, and I was like,
here's the mess I got to.
Oh my god, this is gonna suck. I'm like, you know what? Screw this. Let's bear down. Let's just do it.
Yeah.
I built them this awesome fort, and then I put the iPad in the front. And like Sam's like, he drew a steering wheel.
Oh, that was
on a
really
plate.
Cool.
So he drew a steering wheel, and I gave him some tape, and he taped it on the pillow on the inside. It's like the couch cushions. Initially, I was pissed off because I'm like, they're ripping the couch cushions off. This is going to be such a pain in the ass. And I was being a dick about it at first. And I'm like, okay, let's let go. So anyway, grab the iPad, and I put it right up there by the steering wheel. And we have like a little kid toy, like it's like ABC thing. It's got all these buttons on it. And I'm like, these are the controls.
Oh, that's cool.
So Sam, I'm like, Ben, you're in charge of the controls. Sam, you steer the spaceship. I'm like, we're going to go to the moon. So I put on a YouTube video on the iPad, and I set it up front. And it's like, you're taking off in a rocket, and it shows the view of you coming away from Earth and flying. Yeah. And they're both sitting in front of it, and they're like, Dad, we're at the moon. I'm like, all right. I'm like, we got to get out. I'm like, now remember, when you get out there, you're going to be floating. So you got to like jump, like
gravity.
The gravity. And so Ben goes, and this is the best part. Ben goes, he goes, I have to put my helmet on. I'm like, okay. So he goes over, he goes, and he goes, okay. And he walks out, and they're both like doing the like zero gravity thing. I'm like, dude, it was awesome.
I got to remember to be more like a kid.
That's the thing.
Not be so serious.
And that's the thing is too, is like we learned that business mastery thing from Kinergy.
Yeah.
Remember that one where they're like, the girl's like, now close your eyes. And remember when you were a child and everybody told you need to grow up, and you stopped using your imagination, and you stopped having these big dreams, and you start thinking about all these other things. You stopped being a child. And I'm like, remember that?
Yeah.
And I was like getting emotional in that.
Chills.
Right? I had goosebumps thinking about it. I'm like, that's true. Cause like you're sitting there always telling your kids like, why don't you just grow up? Stop being like.
And then we get pissed off when, like, I don't care what stage they're at. Like there's a point where you're like, oh man, I remember when they were just an infant and they didn't really move and they would just snuggle and, and then when they're a teenager, you're going to be like, oh man, remember when they were in kindergarten and they were so sweet to me.
And now they just slam their door in the face and saying they hate you.
Right.
Scream at you.
So, I mean, we always like, we try to force them to grow up, but then we also regret that.
I know.
Or not regret, but we.
I mean, I think at this age now, like you kind of wish that, like you're like, damn, we really want them to use their imagination.
Yeah, I do.
They reach for the stars, and
I feel like our generation had to grow up a little bit faster. Like I feel like we were left home alone at 10. And I mean, it might be pushing.
Oh, I was.
No, you're right though. You're absolutely right.
But like I have a little bit of a different, unique situation. Like I couldn't leave my son home alone, but
right.
Like my daughter, she's still. Even though she's 6 and she acts like she's 36, she's just a little, she still seems like a little kid. Like,
right.
But I felt like when we were 10, 11, we were ready to go out and like conquer the world.
Right. I mean, I think about that too. Is like, could you imagine your kids being 12 years old? I think that was like the golden age of like
riding their bikes
and like being like, my mom's like, I'm going to work. It's summer vacation. You're not going to summer camp anymore. You're home.
Right.
With your brothers.
Yeah.
And like my brothers are
gone.
They're gone. They're not looking after me. They're out. And I'm like, okay, I'm 12 and I'm just gonna man this myself, and I'm gonna make myself lunch, and I'm gonna
call me when you get home.
But I didn't make myself lunch. I just went to a friend's house and like we went and played all day. And,
went to Winterman's and
hit up all their snacks. And then I'm like, I gotta be home for dinner, right?
Yeah.
Like that was. But we were like 12 years old. Like that was no big deal. But can you imagine? Think about your kids being 12. Like, peace. I'm out. Like that's a weird thought.
It is a weird thought.
I know they'll be fine, but it's like
Yeah.
that. But okay, here's another question:
We need to bring it back.
Is that socially acceptable?
Probably not,
Right?
but that's up to us,
It is.
right? Like when our kids are that age, if we tell the neighbor to fuck off when they're like, "How could you do that?" and I'm not.
No, I know what
Maybe
you
we
mean.
shouldn't do that, but like,
Hey,
maybe we should. I don't know. Like,
I don't know, man.
Mind your fucking business, right?
It
Like,
depends on the context.
I trust my kid. Like, my kid knows right from. But again, you have to do that work up to that point to see if
How
they're
they could do
like.
it.
Because I wonder, like, I mean, there was some kids when we were growing up that like would never go out, or like that. Oh, I had to go to camp, or I had to do this, and maybe that was because they weren't ready in their parents' eyes to have that responsibility of kind of being on their own, or they just had other options that our parents didn't. I don't know, but like,
I mean, I know there was like in my neighborhood, like I know down the street there was some stay-at-home moms or something, but they doesn't mean they were like looking after us. Like I hung out with like those kids like during the day. We'd go off and we wouldn't like hang out at their house. We'd be like at a park somewhere or something like that. You know, we weren't like I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. What's that?
you said you were in my neighborhood.
Oh, for sure. I had to ride my bike a couple miles and then get to my friend's house.
See, mine was always weird too growing up because my dad would work different shifts. And like, I don't know. I'm not like the smartest dude in the world, and I don't think I was as a kid either. Like, I probably could have figured out what shift he was on and like known for like 2 weeks he was going to be on nights or But I felt like I never knew, so just
But you didn't really care.
left and didn't take the risk of dad being home.
Yeah.
Because if dad was home, I was splitting wood.
Right.
That's true. I'm surprised you didn't figure out the
Something.
schedule.
I probably should have.
Like my
I
mom and
wasn't a
dad's
dumb
like was
kid.
easy. Like they were gone at like 8 in the morning or 7 in the morning, and then they weren't gonna be home till 5 or 6. So I was like,
You know,
I mean, I
Who
would have to check
knows?
in or whatever. Or I don't know.
it's all a crapshoot, right? We're doing the best we can.
We're doing the best.
You know what? We'll
That's all
find
we
out when the
can
time
do.
comes.
Yeah.
Like we're doing right now.
And I'm sure when our kids are in their 30s, God willing, we're all still around, they may be like, you guys sucked as parents.
Yeah, right.
Why did you coddle me so much?
Yeah, you held me down. You didn't
Yeah, in their
give me the
30s when they're
tools.
still living with us.
You didn't
they're
give me
like,
the
you were
tools."
great parents.
Yeah, you didn't give me the
Like,
tools to succeed.
And you still are great parents by letting us live here. I'm like, oh,
Yeah, you and the
like you
six
bastard. I was trying to go on
grandkids.
vacations and stuff, and I'm still checking in. And I have like a shock collar on you and like a chip in you to make sure I know where you are at all times.
Right. Listen, Junior, I was supposed to be retired on
Yeah.
a yacht, right, or on a sailboat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm supposed to be
right.
traveling the world, and here I am
Yep.
packing your lunch for you to go to work.
While you're taking cold showers, walking around barefoot in the snow. You dickbag.
Sons of bitches.
Oh, man, that's good stuff.
It's good.
Full circle.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Full
it's
circle.
really good.
I don't really want to think about those days and those kids are that age. I don't want to be.
Well, let's not do that. Let's
the
focus
moment.
on today. Let's
Focus
enjoy
on the time.
moment. Use your imagination.
Go play.
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 Remind
That's a
ourselves to
big
play.
takeaway. Yeah.
I know tomorrow I'm already feeling better right now. I think I'm feeling better because I'm sitting here talking to you guys, and I just
Yeah.
feel
You came alive a little bit.
energized. I
Yeah,
feel
you came
good.
alive a
Yeah,
little
you
bit.
feel. Yeah.
Good. So tomorrow I'll kick some ass. Go
That's
to swim. We do something fun. I think I'm on some good. It's supposed to be nice tomorrow, right? 50s. It's supposed to rain though,
It's
maybe.
supposed to be on the
Yeah, it's
climb
supposed to
from
be a
here.
little bit nicer than today was. So
I'm gonna go to the
Today was
park.
cold.
there you go.
Although the last time I tried to play tag with the kids at the playground, Sam fell off the. So there's like a fireman pole at the playground by our house, and I was chasing him. We were playing tag, and he was trying to get away from me because I was climbing up the ladder, trying to be. There you go. I was trying to catch him. Well, he was trying to go down the fireman pole. I told you the story. His foot
Yeah.
got caught on the top, and he fell from the top and landed like on his shoulder.
Oh, did he break his collarbone?
I thought he did.
Oh, yeah.
Because the way as soon as he got up, he was like this, like holding it. I'm like, oh my god. And I go. So first of all, I'm like, dude. I'm like, can you raise your hand? Like, can you put your arm up? He goes. He puts it up like here, and he goes, no. And I'm like, oh fuck.
Uh-oh.
And he's like, I'm like, all right, can you put your head down to the side like this? And he's like, no. And he has this big like scratch on his face, and he's just the way he's holding his shoulder. I'm like, dude, this is it. I'm like, I have to go to the emergency room. This is gonna suck. And then my wife was hanging out with one of Ben's nurses. She was at her house with her daughter. So I took her daughter and my kids to the park. So I'm like, her name's Anna. I'm like, we have Anna, Ben, and Sam. I'm like, all right, guys, we got to leave. I'm like, I think I have to take Sam to the emergency room. I go, Sam, can you he's like, can you carry me home? I'm like, no. I'm like, you weigh 60 pounds, dude. I'm not carrying you home.
Does he really weigh? 60
Yeah, he's like
pounds?
57 pounds.
Holy
Did you walk
smokes.
to the park or drive?
So Sam has like a Power Wheels 4-wheeler. So he rode that. Anna rode Sam's bike, and then I pushed Ben in this little cart thingy. So I go, Sam, I'm like, can you ride the 4-wheeler home? He's like, yeah. I'm like, Anna, do you want to ride on the 4-wheeler with Sam? She's like, yeah, I'll go on there. He goes, all right. Instantly stops crying. He goes, all right. He's like, I'll drive. He goes, Anna. He goes, you could ride on the back. He's like, but you have to hold my waist. Hold on tight while I'm driving. I'm like,
Attaboy.
I'm like, my dude. This is a proud dad moment. Instantly, the injury's gone. It's like a girl. He's like, I got this.
Hold on,
that's a great
babe.
proud moment.
Just hop on the back. He's like, make sure you hold on
I didn't know where
tight.
that was going, but that was fantastic.
No, but you
that's
hold
incredible.
on tight. I got this. And I got home. I'm like, are you okay? He's like, yeah, I'm good, man. I'm like, no, my dude.
You want to throw some the old pigskin pops?
Yeah, I'm like, oh, my boy. Oh, man.
Oh, that's incredible. Isn't that like such a man thing, though? Like,
Yeah.
you could have actually broken your collarbone, and if like the girl over there is like, "Hey, can you give me a ride home?" Like, yeah, I got you, babe.
Yeah, it's true though, like 100%, because we all do it. Like,
What?
what?
Popping your shoulder back in place.
You
You're
pull
like,
a Mel Gibson right into the
Yeah,
wall.
he's like, we're good. Because I wasn't crying. It's
Oh,
windy,
man.
cold breeze, man. Whatever, I'm good.
I'm not crying. I work out.
Yeah, work out. You're crying, Dad. I'm like, no, you just were. But yeah, I mean, just watching that it cracked me up, man.
That's fantastic.
It's so funny. That's that's DNA, right?
All right,
Like,
there
this
it
is who
goes,
we
man.
are.
I'm like, my
That's
boy.
just
That's
who
the
we
times where I
are.
can be like, all right.
That is biology.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
absolutely,
literally
man.
biology in action.
Just instantly,
So
it's like,
funny.
all right, let's go. Like, shoulder's fine, huh? All right, good. We're not going to the emergency room.
Oh man, that's awesome.
That's fantastic. So, all right, well, I think we covered, we had a dad hack early on.
Yeah,
Yeah, with the parking and the
Yeah.
carts.
yeah, that's
Park
that's
by-
good.
Yeah.
It's true, though, because I do that, and Liz will be like, why are you parking, like, right here on top of this thing? I'm like, because I don't want anybody on the other side of me, all right? And I can get the kids out and not have to worry about
I just
anything.
like putting them in, and then the cart goes
Yep.
right in there right
Yep,
away.
and you're right there at
Close
the,
hatch.
yeah. I'm like, I'll grab one of those carts.
So here's the thing: it's like people without kids will say, I've seen this before. It's like, don't ever park toward by the corral because that's
People hit
where
your
people
car.
just like throw the carts and it's gonna hit your cart, hit your car. And once you have kids, you're like, I don't really give a fuck because
They've already done that with
I
their
can put
scooters.
the kids in the car, and then just put the cart
Yeah.
back away, and I don't have to worry about it.
Right.
It's
You
true,
don't have to
though.
walk all
You don't have
the
to
way
walk
back.
across the parking lot because you get the kids in there, and you're like, okay, where's the corral?
Yeah. Like if you
Oh,
go to all-
I'm like a pro, though, at putting carts away from like a mile away because I used to push carts at Tops back in the day. I could launch a cart across the parking lot into a corral.
there's a throwback with Tops.
Oh, Tops, man, it was the shit. Dude, like, you go in there, you push it with your
Honda
foot,
Menor,
and you
you
just
mean?
freaking toss. Yeah, Honda Menor.
Kind of men are right. Over 615 over there.
But I could hit a corral from a mile away. I got skills with carts.
You're getting faster.
I am in my old age. I feel old, but I can still throw a cart.
I just
I
turned
believe it.
39 this year, so
Really?
Yeah, you just had a birthday, right?
in March.
Yeah, happy
So
birthday,
crazy.
man.
Thanks.
Yeah, Marchapalooza. I'm a March
there you
guy
go.
too.
Yeah, not till September. So
Still 35.
yeah, that's right. No big deal.
You have a proud dad moment, by the way? I feel like you haven't hit one in a while. I mean, I think no, you did. Was the football game, right? Like seeing how
I
he,
was really proud, and it wasn't even just Gibbs, just the group. So there's what, 5? I think there's 12 of them on the team, and they're kids from different schools, right? And I wasn't necessarily worried about Gibbs being able to interact because he's just like a social butterfly. He doesn't care. Like he'll go talk to anybody. But it's a team dynamic, right? And so you just don't know how the kids are going to get along and whatever. To see these kids, so the first week, like I said, they lost, and they were like down, right? Like they were like, I don't want to say it was good to see, but like
it's a good lesson.
to see them like understand that they lost the game, and it was their first game, right? And and Gibbs actually scored a touchdown.
It's literally
which
their
was
first
amazing.
legitimate like game loss,
but
like outside
yeah.
of like a board game.
Yeah. And to see them upset, and then to see the next week them come back and see how happy they were that they won, I was like, all right, this is amazing. Like this is so good for these boys, right?
Sure.
So yeah, I was super proud of them to pick each other up and I don't know, just be teammates, right? Like that
It's
was
a good.
it was a
awesome.
very much like a my boy is
It's growing up.
growing up type of moment,
Yeah.
So that was cool. Yeah,
That's
very
great.
proud of him.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
What about you, Pete? You got any proud dad moments?
Let's see. I didn't prep any. But
That's okay.
That's okay.
on the spot. So like our son has special needs, so we do a lot of different things to make sure gets to his full potential. So we signed him up. So he's been at homeschool for a year now.
Yeah.
Right.
March. So no outside interaction, but we signed him up for this camp, for I guess you could call it. Every Saturday it's for 3 hours where he goes and gets dropped off and he's there with other boys and the teachers and the facilitators and all that stuff. So we didn't know how that was going to go. He just crushed it.
Yeah.
He did
That's
super well.
great.
Like we get him out of the car and he would be super jacked and he'd barely say goodbye and
That's
off he
great.
was go. So I think that's been my
That's really good.
problem. Yeah, because it's always up and down. You always learn as you go.
Yeah, for sure.
But for him to go for a full year with no institutional learning where you're leaving the house to every Saturday going there. So I was really pumped.
That's huge though. I mean, like, and then you're not sure how he would react to that. Like even like my kids, like Ben especially, like going to school again and like not sure how he would react. Like it's a scary thought. Like you don't know how they're gonna take it,
Right.
and like for him to take to it, and you see, like you said, he's like, yeah, peace. He's excited to be there. That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's really good. I mean, this year has thrown everyone for a loop, and I think that we forget sometimes that there are people, varying levels of situations, right? There's people that, if they've had their parents that are really sick or somebody close to them, and like, again, it just all affected us differently.
Sure.
And so I think it's good when we can see our kids thrive
Yeah.
in maybe a situation that seems different, right? Because it's different from the last year. And like a year for a kid, how old's your son? 9?
9.
It's like an eternity, man. Think about that. Like
a year is like 10
more
years.
like
than
for us, it's
10%
like
of
for us,
his
it's like
life.
that, right? And then, but
them,
like
it's
for a
like
kid,
a
you remember being a
decade.
kid and thinking about
Yeah.
like the school year.
Oh, it seemed like an eternity.
Like
you're
you
saying.
get to March and like even in high school, and you're like, shit,
right.
dude, we got another 3 months till summer break, and like that was just
seems like so
drag.
long.
Now, if you're like, I'll see you in 6 weeks, you're like, man, that's gonna be here before I know it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. 6
Look,
weeks, shit, I better prepare.
Yeah, right. Write this down. Here it comes.
I always look at like the ratios or the percentages. Like, so for a 9-year-old, the year that we just spent in a pandemic, that's more than 10% of his life. For us, that's what, 2.5%.
Right.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, ish.
It's-
2 to
it's
4%.
nothing.
You know what I mean? Like that's.
It's nothing.
It's like that's a blink in the eye for us.
Yeah,
But for
we're
them,
just-
that's a significant portion.
For sure,
And so
man.
to
For like-
see him get excited about going, and even if it's 3 hours once a week, that is something. And like you said, preparing it and like getting him ready for hopefully to be able to go back into school next year.
Going back to some normalcy too, like just his regular routine that he was in before all this. Like it's tough.
Yeah,
it's a
'cause
big change.
He's the kind of person that if anything out of the ordinary goes wrong, it's life. It's
Right.
It's huge for him.
Yeah.
Right.
So for when people are complaining when the world stopped, it's like,
Yeah.
that's
Well, this is a big freaking deal. Like that's tough for.
But
Like,
we kind of had a head start in being comfortable there.
Right.
We know like if
Oh.
like if you go somewhere and it's not where they want to be, or you're planning on going somewhere.
like you said, like a restaurant. I think last time.
We were
Like,
talking about
yeah,
restaurants
yeah.
last time. Like one time we were, I was taking them to the pool, and the weather was kind of shaky, so I was prepping them as much as I could. Hey, if there's lightning, we got to come back. If there's lightning, we got to come back. Right? Sure as shit, we get their lightning happen.
Yeah,
And it was
shut
a
down.
45-minute meltdown because he was set on going to the pool.
yeah, that's
you
what
know?
he had his mind made up.
Right.
That was it.
So those kind of moments have like we're getting better at managing those. But like we're saying, like not being at school and then thrusting back into something different. It's like it could go either way.
Sure.
Yeah. So
It really,
that was-
yeah, and
So
but
it's
like you
good
said,
that
like, for him to take to it like that, and like that's
yeah.
exciting and that's huge, and it's something to be proud of too.
Yeah, I was. That's probably my proud dad. Well, I can't even talk right now. Most proud dad moment.
The shots,
That's
the
awesome.
shots kicking in, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh God! Oh my God!
He's turning.
It's like, Pete, where are you?
Yeah, we're Where's the microphone? I guess that's me. Like at work yesterday, man. I got back in and I'm like, I fumbled something around. I was all clumsy. I'm like, it's happening. I'm like, this shot's already getting me. This is it, man. I'm
World
changing.
War Z is
Yeah, there it
turning
is.
right now.
I'm gonna be eating somebody in 10
I am
minutes
legend.
here.
Where's
Yep.
Brad Pitt?
Yeah, we need him. God, that movie. Those are the zombies no one's surviving.
No, they're
When people
so
when people
fast.
talk about a zombie apocalypse, they're like, what would you do? I'm like, well, it depends. Are we talking Walking Dead zombies? Or are we talking World War Z zombies? Because we're talking like
Completely
full
different
sprint
scenarios.
zombies. We're all done.
World War Z, they were so fast.
They were climbing over each other.
Yeah.
to get
They're
up
like
in-
they were making a wall out of each other.
yeah, when they were in Israel, they were
climbing that
up each
wall?
other, Yeah.
It's insane.
Like I was like, shit. We can go into zombie talk real quick. We're gonna get
Not
into
that
it.
good of a movie, by the way.
Not that good.
So let me preface by World War Z is the extent of my zombie catalog.
Yeah.
That's it?
I never seen Walking Dead or.
I Am
my God.
Legend.
No, I know
Watch
of it.
that.
Dawn of the Dead.
That's where Will Smith has the dog,
Yeah.
the German Shepherd with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
And to be fair, like, I just watched it again recently. I remember the dog playing a much bigger role than it actually did.
you talking about the death scene?
Well, just like in general for the whole movie.
Okay. Well, when he dies, like that was.
Oh, it's awful.
so depressing.
Yeah,
A dog dies in any movie or
but
any
like the dog really wasn't that big of a character.
No, he was just hanging out. This is his dog, man. It sucks.
100%.
No, you're right, though. You're right.
But like I hadn't seen that movie since probably when did that come out? Like
Oh God,
2000s?
early 2000s.
I don't think I'd seen it since it first came out.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh fuck it, I'll watch it again. You know.
God, man.
And I just remember the dog being much more a part of the story.
Is Will Smith the only human alive?
He finds somebody. I don't know if you're gonna watch it, but
No, I probably won't.
spoiler alert.
I'm terrible about watching.
All right,
Spoiler alert.
There's
No.
another woman and her
find-
daughter,
yeah.
and like they find
Son.
there's like a community. Oh, son. It's her son. Yeah.
I think.
Speaking
She
of
eats the bacon.
Speaking
Yeah.
of dogs, did you guys see that guy on Netflix? He's in Oakland, California, who trains dogs for all sorts of things. The one I caught was he was teaching personal protection dogs. It was amazing.
Really?
It was so freaking cool. It was a Belgian Malinois or a German
Oh
Shepherd he
yeah.
was doing.
Yeah.
So he was training them to attack and bite up here, and the thing would come out like a rocket. Just
All right.
blast
So
people
pro
over.
tip here. So Gibbs, I've been trying to help him. So we got a puppy not that long ago.
Super cute, by the way.
Thank you. So we've been watching like shows on Discovery and things like that about what dogs can do, and I'm trying to help them help me train
Training,
the dog
yeah.
and everything. So we found Disney Plus has a new show, and it's I can't remember his actual name, but the guy that voices Goofy and Pluto goes around and finds like these amazing dogs. And some of these stories that they go through are incredible. They have this one guy, and I can't remember what disease he has, but like he can't do anything for more than like 30 seconds. He gets really winded. He just can't, whatever. It's very difficult for him to live. He's got this service dog that freaking does his laundry.
Get out.
And like they're showing this thing, and like everything in this dude's place has like a towel on it. The dog can go open up the laundry machine. He's got like a ramp
The fridge and stuff,
that he
too.
pushes up the laundry basket. He tips it over in there. He can
kind of
jump up,
dog is
hit
it?
the button. It was a shepherd.
Okay.
But they go through and they find all these different shepherds and labs and what collies.
Service. Yeah, these dogs. It's amazing what they could train them. Like
It is amazing.
it's amazing how smart some of these dogs are. And I'll
How they
make
know how
this-
to cross the street?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
for
like-
blind people.
Dude,
yeah, that's amazing.
There's this dude. He's a Paralympic runner. He's blind, and he wasn't always blind. I can't again, not good with details, but like developed some disease where he's now blind. And so like in college though, he was like a really good track and field athlete. He was running, I don't know what events, but so now he's in the Paralympics. He's completely blind, but his dog, I mean, he runs through these parks, like across streets,
Dog
whatever,
stays next
like
to him and kind of leads him.
the whole way. Like, dude, like it is like they're showing video of this, and like the dude is just like the dog will stop and kind of pace and like run in place, and like he'll wait, and then once traffic's gone, he'll go, and like holy shit, dude,
That's crazy.
like, that is insane.
That's
to
incredible.
me.
I will say, like, I've seen like some cool dog things before. Like one of the things I was impressed with was Paul Markel's dog. I think it was Allie.
Yeah.
I was playing fetch with that dog, and I threw a frisbee, and she went and caught it because those dogs are amazing at catching frisbees. Like they do like the big
30
jump
feet
and
in
thing.
the air.
So she's running back, and there's like there's a tennis ball in the middle of the
Jack
yard.
Russell or something?
No, she's a border collie.
Border collie.
Oh yeah, those yeah.
So smart.
Super athletic.
Yeah, and there was a tennis ball in the middle of the yard, and she runs over there, and she's trying to pick up both. She's got the tennis ball and the frisbee. So she looks at it for a second. She drops the frisbee on the ground, flips it so it's upside down, like the plate, so it's like the edges. Goes over and scoops up the tennis ball and runs it back to me. She figured that out in like 2 seconds.
Amazing.
I'm like, holy shit, man.
Border collies are like the rocket scientists.
They're geniuses. Now, I'll say this one thing about Teddy, my dog, is when I would walk him before my kids were born, he was born before Sam. I mean, we got him before Sam was born. He's like 6 months older. But every time I'd walk him, whenever we get to a stop, like a crossing, like for the street, I would make him sit and wait. And the great thing is now is like I let him loose on the sidewalk, and people are kind of freaked out by that, but I know he's not going to do anything. He's really well disciplined with all that.
He's really good.
He doesn't like care about other dogs walking past him. He'll just sit and look at him. But the kids will always get far ahead of me. Like Sam's on his 4-wheeler. They get pretty far ahead of me, and they're running, and I just can't keep up with them. I mean, I can, but I just kind of sit back. But Teddy will stay next to them the whole time. But when they get to a crossing, Teddy will stop. He'll get ahead of them, and he'll sit when they get to like a crossing, and the kids will stop with him. And and Teddy will just sit there and wait until I get next to him, and then I'm like, all right, guys, look both ways, and then we cross. So like,
good.
That's awesome.
So that's the thing I was gonna tell you with the dog. Teach him like when you're walking when you get to the street, like a crossing, just tell him to sit and just wait. You'll get there. Teddy was a pain in the ass at first.
Takes a lot of work,
but there was a lot of training and a lot of like patience with him, and he took to it. Like the one thing about him is he just took to everything pretty easily.
I mean, Teddy's fantastic.
I mean, he gets excited and he'll jump around.
Boxer?
He's a boxer, and I
saw pictures.
He was very easy to train.
He's just like kids, though. I mean, like he should be able to get excited and jump around, and when he's at home,
yeah, exactly.
Dude, when that dog is outside of his house, he's a boxer, but like
who are usually ramped up.
He's a majestic looking boxer. though.
He's very
like, dude's got a chest on him. Dude's
very
got
proud.
a jawline on him.
He's
You know what I mean? Like,
he's a stud, man.
He sits up there, and like when I'll drive by their house, and I'll be like, "Damn, Teddy, just driving by, dude." Like
he's got this look on his like he's just real proud. Like
Yeah.
The nice thing is like when I'm doing yard work and the kids are running around playing, like he'll sit in the yard and like people will walk by with their dogs. And they're freaked out because they see him, and he looks intimidating because he looks like a scary dog. But they walk by with their dogs, and their dogs are pulling them into our yard, and Teddy just sits there and he just looks at him like, and I'll tell him like, just wait, wait, and like they'll walk right past, and they'll just turn around and go back with the kids. Yeah, it's cool, man. It's just something we trained him with, though, and it worked.
Great job. I'm working on Walt.
He's a pup. Teach him young, right? You're already getting all the training in.
Trying.
It's like another child.
Keep watching your those videos. He'll be running you around, running the kids around.
We'll see.
That's why. So back to with letting the kids run free and get away from you a little bit. That's where I don't worry, is because Teddy always stays right next to them.
Yeah, if our dog's with the kids, I don't.
Like no one's gonna go try to grab one of the kids when Teddy's standing next to him. Like, and he's like he's very calm, but like we'll take him for walks with the kids. And if somebody is like across the street, and like this one day there was a guy walking, and he was walking behind us, and Teddy just you could see he kept turning around, and like his hair standing up, like he's pissed, and he's next to the kids, and he's like, he's not feeling it, man. Like, I'm like, all right, calm down, and he's just pissed off. I'm like, all right, I know that he's gonna hold it down if someone's gonna try to mess with the kids.
If we're walking and the kids are ahead, either on their scooters or their big wheels or whatever, Bruno, our dog, he'll just like, he has that whiny protective.
You would have a dog named Bruno.
I know, right?
Jeez.
Italians.
when we got him in New Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And it was my wife's dog. She got him. She found him. She picked him and everything. And we didn't have a name picked out. And we were going through all these names, and I was picking by alphabet just to kind of keep me on track.
Yeah.
And then I said Bruno, and she's like, Bruno.
It works.
But then I find out there's like
Bruno.
Right. Then I find out there's like 500 Brunos or like 500 people that have like.
I knew somebody who had a
dog.
Bruno. It was a boxer. His name was Bruno. Bridget Matthias. He had a boxer named Bruno.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He's like lab. I think he's a lab mix, but I think he's mixed with Pitt because of how broad his chest is.
Yeah.
But he has like this cutest boxy face, like solid blocky face.
Yeah.
He has this shorter kind of.
Yeah.
He's adorable. But yeah, the thing about him though is he jumps the fence all the time.
Yeah.
Jump like if we're out.
Leap over the fence.
Like it's not even there. It's not, So
dogs are amazing.
one more story about the dog. I gotta say this one. So this one day, I was working in the yard and I was in the garage, and Liz is like, "I'm gonna take the kids for a walk." She's like, "I'm not gonna take Teddy because it was like a spur of the moment thing, and she didn't want to put like his harness on and like the leash." So we lock him in the gate in the house, and like I don't know how he got out, but he snuck past me. I was in the garage working on the lawnmower or something. He snuck out.
Typical.
And they were like way down the road, and he caught up right
with them?
after them, and this guy goes, "Oh my god," because he saw Teddy just booking it down the street, and he's like, he gets up to Liz, he's like, "I'm so glad that's your dog." He's like, "Because I thought that dog was about to maul you and the kids." Because the way he ran down the street to catch them, like they were way like beyond sight. Like he found them. Yeah. Like I still don't know how he got out. He snuck right past me.
I mean, typical. You were working on the lawnmower.
Oh yeah.
So.
Come on, man.
It's man stuff.
It's just man stuff. Probably cleaning out the carb or something, replacing the manifold. You know me, just.
The thing that sucks about it now is that we have the all glass storm door.
Yeah.
And if it's not locked, you could just like kind of.
Right.
Because the hinge is, it's one of those Anderson doors. It just never kind of kept it closed. He will come out like Jimmy Fly Snuka on that door if someone's like the mailman or something.
Name drop.
And,
that was great.
At first, I didn't know if that would have been picked up on that. But
I got it.
He'll come out just guns blazing on that door. Right. And so we've had it. Now we have to either keep the hard door shut.
Yeah.
I think the mailman's probably had to change their pants a couple times coming to our house.
Well, they don't like dogs, man, naturally, because like the
ones will
getting barked at all the time.
They'll do this to our door. Like,
they'll push
their
it?
hand on it before he comes there. Before they even put the mail.
There was somebody we know, I think it was Serlej. This dog broke the bay window on their house when the mailman came.
Really?
There's a lot of dogs in our neighborhood where they go crazy.
Oh yeah, when we walk by, and
like
they're slamming into the glass. You can see the glass like bowing, and I'm like, holy shit, man!
Same in our neighborhood too.
Pretty positive our dog growing up bit our mailman.
My brother's dog got maced the other day.
I thought that's why we had to move. I don't think that's why we actually moved.
But it was a thought.
It was around the same time, and so my 10-year-old self was like, "Oh man,
maybe." Chris's dog got maced the other day.
Really?
Yeah, by the mailman. Yeah.
Is Henry aggressive?
No. So what happened was
so.
The neighbor across the street. So like Henry's like the neighborhood dog.
Yeah.
He just roams around. He's old, and he's like
how old is he?
He's like a shepherd mix, probably like 12.
No.
Yeah.
That just blew my mind.
Jimmy's like 15 or 16.
I knew. Well, yeah.
Jimmy's my other brother's dog. He's old.
All right, anyway,
But so anyway, Henry.
That just
So the
blew
neighbor
my
across
mind,
the
though.
street yells for Henry. She's like, because he always comes out and gives him treats. So he's like walking down the driveway, and he's just like moseying down the driveway. And then the mailman or mailwoman was walking by at that exact moment, and So Chris told me this too. I forgot what it's called, but they switch out the mailman like constantly in their neighborhood. So the dog doesn't get used to the mailman. So it's a stranger. So he's a little nervous about her. And she's like, and Chris said he's like 6 feet away from her, 10 feet away from her. And she's like, oh, he's gonna attack me. And Chris is like, no, he's fine. Like he was right there.
Yeah.
And his girls were right there too. They're walking down the driveway, and she pulls out the mace and sprays it.
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like,
Poor 12 years old. You said?
Poor Henry.
yeah. So
He's
it was
the sweetest dog.
He's this old dog.
I mean, anytime I've been
yeah,
around
he's
him.
a great dog. He's very low key. And Chris is like, he's just so calm about everything. He's like, yeah. He's like, I get it in her position. And I'm like, yeah, I do. I get it. I'm like, but at the same time, she pulled out the mace and sprayed it. Meanwhile, you got a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old pretty close by.
Yeah, if the wind catches
it right, you're gonna spray the kids. Well, he got a warning in the mail too from the post office.
Wow.
About the dog, and I'm like, dude,
What are they gonna do?
and I'm like, he's all calm about it. I'm like, dude, I would have been like, okay. On the flip side, I'm like, hey, this irresponsible asshole sprayed mace into the air, like where my children are standing. Like, I mean, I wouldn't have said it. I wouldn't have done anything. He's not
it's
going to. I
tough.
wouldn't either.
Yeah.
But it's just like the thought of it. It's like,
Right.
It's in the back of your mind. Yeah, because if you spray that mace, if it clouds up and
dude,
goes
my
in-
mom had some in her room when we were little, and I remember one of us sprayed it. We were standing in there. I'll never forget because my dog Mindy at the time was like sneezing. We're all coughing and sneezing. Our eyes are burning. I'm like, this shit. You've been through it. You had to do that for the Marines.
Yeah.
It's just no fun.
So, all right, I have to tell the story.
Please do.
I wasn't going to, but
Now you're going to.
now I have to. All right. So when I was in the Marine Corps, I was a chemical nerd. I was a nuclear, biological, chemical defense specialist. Was my
Nerd.
official title, right? Sounded like something that I could get a really cool job when I got out. Not the
Badass
case.
title.
Not the case. But anyway, so really, like the main function of my job was, in garrison, when you're at home, was to make sure you train everyone how to use their gas mask, how to use their protective equipment so that you build confidence.
Yeah.
So that way, if you're ever in a situation, you're good, right?
Yeah, sure.
So we ran gas chambers. And I would run so many of them, training different people, that like you do build up a tolerance. And so we used to use CS gas. And what you would do is you would get like a little, like a hot plate. And we would get these capsules, and you would break open the capsules. And a typical chamber, you'd have like maybe 10 guys at a time. And you could do like one capsule, and that would be sufficient for the training. You go in there, you put your gas mask on, you clear it, you take it off, you put it back on, you clear it again, then you can leave. We just got stupid, right? Like we
Bringing
were
out like 5 capsules.
like, oh yeah, dude. We would 10 capsules at a time, and then I'd be like, all right, well, you need to breathe it in before you put your gas mask back on. And like that is the one time, especially as like an E3, that you could just tell anyone what to do. They're at your mercy because you got to sign off that they've passed their yearly quals. And I got so immune to it that I would start doing the chambers with no mask. I would just wear, like, we call them silkies. They're like these tiny little like boxer shorts basically. But I would go in nothing but those, no mask, and I would do the whole chamber. I could open my eyes. I was fine. Like it wouldn't
Can't just spray
affect
you with
me at
mace.
all. Trust me, now I don't think I still have that immunity.
It's a long time ago.
But like then you would mess with people because they'd be like, "Oh man, I did it," and you'd have these guys that'd be like, "All right, well, I can do that," or I saw so and so didn't wear their mask the whole time. I'm gonna go in there. I'm gonna do burpees like the whole class, the whole chamber. I'm like, all right, well, whatever.
Out, yeah.
Nose
And
is
they're
running,
doing it.
drooling
And
everywhere.
then you start sweating, and it activates more. And then you would tell the guys, "Hey, good job. Go home, get some baby oil and like rub that shit on. It'll neutralize it." And these guys were dumb enough to believe that. And really all it does is trap it in.
Locks it in
So
there.
then you say, okay, well, go take a hot shower. And that way you just get all that shit off of you. And all that does is activate it more. And you have people fucked up for like days. This is terrible shit, right?
Yeah.
But like it's the Marine Corps. That's
You're
what we
having fun
did.
though, yeah.
It's hazing.
Yeah, it's exactly what it was. But yeah, I don't know. It's so funny to me. Like I wonder how I would be affected by that shit now.
I think we should do that on the next show.
I'm in. I would take one.
You ever take a taser?
Yeah.
Did you guys do that too?
You know my taser story.
Oh yeah, I do. Never mind.
I've never been tased, but we sprayed mace before, like in an open area, and then we all kind of felt it, like in your throat and your eyes, and then
I always remember sneezing, like
Pepper
not
spray,
not
mace-
directly to the face, but it was like
I think it was maybe pepper
I
spray.
think mace, pepper spray, whatever, it's kind of the same thing, is worse than CS. But like again, I was always around the CS. The CS just makes your skin burn,
yeah.
and like it's supposed to simulate like a chemical agent. But well, it is technically a chemical agent, but it's just very mild.
Yeah.
But it did burn. But mace was worse. Like we did the course where you get sprayed in the face and have to go complete objectives, and like that sucks.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Fucking nose is running.
Like I said,
your
man,
eyes
I
water.
only sprayed it like in a room, and like I got a little bit of it, and I was just sneezing like
Yeah.
crazy. It just burned my
If
eyes.
someone
and-
walks through it, sometimes it could get a little choked up.
yeah,
Oh,
your throat hurts. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I would totally do that.
All right, I'm in.
All right.
We want to tase each
Whatever.
other too.
Tasing kind of sucks.
I don't want to do it. So
I've been tased multiple times actually.
from women or
No,
at the bar.
never.
Hey, pretty lady,
No.
want a shot?
Cattle prod to the.
I don't think
You walk in there with that look, you know the look when you're
my classic look.
the classic like
When's the last time you saw that look?
it's been years.
It's been a long time.
We all have
Kids,
them.
I
man.
used to have a look.
We all have them.
We,
We all have
you
them.
always knew when Ian was like he was gone. It was like this. His head would just go down. And he was like,
We all got
look like
friends who have
freaking-
those kind
"I'm
of.
from California."
I used to look like
Oh, Bobby Boucher's dad.
Yeah.
I think you on ESPN.
Don't be a dummy.
I have my old flip phone. There's a video of us in my mom's driveway. It was after a cornhole tournament, and Ian had just gotten back, and there was no chance like of any of us going anywhere from there. Like we were all sleeping at my mom's, and we're all trying to figure out how we're gonna get food. You know, didn't have Uber. You didn't have Uber Eats, and we're not getting like pizza delivered at that time. So we're like, we gotta get the Taco Bell. Ian's like, I'll drive. We're like, oh yeah? He's like, I'm from California. We're like, oh, okay. We'll be good to go then.
Well, if that's the case,
well, let's all hop in the car.
Thank God none
I
of
remember
us were
Perry was
stupid
sitting in the
enough to
driveway.
let me do that.
Rosa, I'll never forget that because Rosa was standing on the roof of my
roof
car.
of your car.
He's just sitting out there. There's like a dent in the top
Classic
of the car.
Rosa.
Perry's wearing like a lacrosse helmet, and you're talking about driving us to Taco Bell at like 3 a.m. Like a bunch of geniuses. We didn't go anywhere.
All bad ideas.
No.
Early 20s, man.
Was that Where's Perry night?
Yes, it was. Where's Perry night? That was the same night. Wherever that went.
That's when you're invincible.
Yeah, we were just a bunch of
Young
crazy
and dumb.
kids.
Yeah, 100%.
So, well, I think we covered
We got everything.
So much
everything.
fun.
was
Yeah,
a
thank
pleasure,
you.
guys.
This is a great
Thank you.
conversation.
I love, especially repeat guests where we
pick
know you
right-
a little bit now,
Yeah.
so we
Yeah.
can just
Pick right
get
back
into
up.
the conversation. It's so
yeah.
much fun.
Like I
love
listened
it.
to the old one and I'm thinking like, man, I felt like I was so serious on there.
Well, I think that's normal though. I
One
think
thing,
serious
it's like the
you want to get it out.
you want to get
right?
everything out because you're like, okay, so I'm going to talk about this, and you have like your points you want to get across, and you want to talk about it, but like so much more. I think once you get flowing to like even halfway through that last episode, it was like you're flowing, you're feeling more comfortable.
Yeah.
But I will say this though. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was gonna say it's weird hearing your voice too.
Yeah. Oh God, I hate my voice.
Yeah.
Trust me, I have to listen to these all the time, and I cannot stand listening to myself talk. I'm like, God, I'm such
It's the
a
worst hearing this show. It's terrible.
yeah. I hate listening to me. And Ian. No, but I just don't like my voice. But I was gonna say though, is learning from you from the last time was like writing things down,
Right.
and taking those notes.
He
And
talks about it all the time.
I do. Bring it
Like,
up a
no
lot.
joke, he really does.
Yes.
Thank you.
So, and you and I texting back and forth for a long time. And you let
Yeah.
me borrow some of those books that you read, and I did read them. And you did mention the one day you're like, this sounds kind of weird, but like this pen that I use, it loves to write. And I gave you one
I
of
got
them.
one. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
So we were at, yep. I gave
have
you the white one.
Steve gave me a white
So
one.
we were
yeah.
at Business Mastery, and I pulled out of my bag. I'm like, here, I gave one to Sanjay, I gave one to Ian. I'm like, use this pen because it's nice, man.
And it is really nice.
I love it. So I use that pen all the time, and
That's
like
great. It
writing
makes you
things
feel
down,
good.
like it really.
I didn't know you got that from Pete though.
Yeah, that was from him because
Yeah.
he texted me and he told me, he's like, this pen really likes to write. I'm like, he's like, it sounds weird. I'm like, no, I get it. So I bought them on Amazon. I have a few packs of them and I use them all the time at work and just for writing stuff down, like personal things. And
Sure.
so thank you for that because like Ian said I do talk
pleasure.
about it.
He
I brought
does
it up
a lot.
so
I'm like, yeah, dude, I get it.
yeah, cool.
You like
Pete.
to write shit down.
Yeah, good for you, dude.
Well, that's cool. That's really flattering.
No,
That really means a lot to me.
I mean, honestly, we talk offline, you know, whether it's, you know, we call it working on the podcast or whatever, but most of what we talk about is why we're doing what we're doing and what we get out of it.
Sure.
Which is super selfish, but I think we've talked about this before, is like, we need to make it worth it for us because it's a lot of time. It's a lot of effort that we put into this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it is so incredibly worth it to us because we meet people like you. We meet people that give us things to think about, physical things to do. And, you know,
Just to improve.
sometimes it catches on some, like, I'll be honest. I tried writing some shit down. It just doesn't do it for me. Now, I like talking. Like, I do some voice memos and stuff like that, which
But
you guys know I like
but you have
talking. I
talked.
never shut up.
The
but
method is there, though.
Right.
The practice.
But it's
principle
what we
of
always
it.
say though, right? Is what works for you,
Right.
And it's but like writing things down like helps me to remember a lot
Yeah.
more. Like when I'm reading something or like, you know, if I think about something, I'm like, I need to write this
Burned into your
down
memory,
because
yeah.
it burns it into your memory.
Right.
It's like one
Right.
of those things. Like you think of a great idea, right? And it comes to you, you're like, oh, I gotta remember to do this. Or it's something simple as like, hey, I need to look this up on Amazon and buy this, right?
Yeah, sure.
And then you get to your computer like 2 hours later, and you're like, what was it that I wanted to look at?
Yeah.
So
But
I
if-
use,
but
I use
if
the
I-
voice memos
That's a good idea too. Yeah.
because I'm a narcissist and I like to hear my own voice. So
I never
Listen, I
use,
can admit it.
I never use Siri or Alexa or anything
I
like
don't do that, though.
But
Yeah.
I should, though. 'cause
But I
you
do the voice
record-
memos.
yeah.
You go to the voice memos and you can just like record something.
I do a lot
have,
of
like,
notes on the
100 of
phone.
them.
I have a ton of notes.
Yeah, I do that too.
So with the writing down, this is the thing that I learned since our last one. It's part of like cognitive distancing. So if you have a problem or something that's really burning on you, either write it on a whiteboard or a piece of paper and like take almost like a 10,000 or 3,000 foot view of that.
Right. You're taking a step back.
And you're looking at it, you're really dissecting, you're seeing like, all right, well, this isn't the biggest problem as I thought it was going to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Or
Right.
the goal at hand or the task at hand. You know,
Going back to it, like, is this true? How does it make me feel? How
What's
does it
my
make me
opinion
feel?
of
What's
it?
my opinion of this?
Yeah.
Right. Like,
So there's a quote, and I love it because these 4 things really help me like manage my anxiety and like I don't, and excitement of stuff and things like that. It's like don't add value to things that don't need it, basically. But the quote was, a wise man. I forgot how it goes. It's gonna screw up. So I'll just rephrase it. It's like if you experience pain, and whatever pain could be, endure it, but never add to it.
okay.
Yeah.
So, like the example they gave is cognitive distancing. So, say there's a shipwreck. Instead of saying Ian was on a boat and he's lost at sea, you would say the ship is lost at sea. Again, like of course, if your family member or friend was lost at sea, you would feel terrible.
Yeah.
But and I can apply it to like it's like, no, this failed. You could
stick to actually what happened
what
instead
actually
of
happened, instead of adding value to the problem.
right.
Yes,
instead
yes,
of
yes.
exaggerating in order to make it seem like more of a problem.
Right.
Yes.
So that quote that says, "If you experience pain, endure it, but don't add to it." So like that's a way of not adding
I like
to it
that.
by like throwing like all the personal stuff or putting so much attachment to that issue.
Right.
And breaking stuff down into is this uncomfortable or is this a catastrophe?
Yeah.
I like that.
It's
Because
easy to think that way though.
Most of
'cause,
the
like,
time, uncomfortable is just an inconvenience. Oh
Right.
man, this project at work, wife and this.
My
and
kid
to-do
wants
list
to
is-
play.
My kid wants. Right. It's not a catastrophe. Catastrophe is like your car ran into a tree or
Right.
someone got severely hurt. Things are broke.
Yeah.
Right.
But if it's and then I think to myself too is what I learned is in 10 years, whatever I'm facing now, it may not even matter.
Right.
Because
True.
all the people that are involved in that problem at that time will forget, move on.
Yeah, absolutely.
leave.
It happens.
Certainly
It happens
if
in
it's
life. It
just
happens at work.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right.
It's one of those things. Like you don't want to be uncomfortable, but like try to see the big picture, step back, and
Yeah.
be like, okay, well, this is not that big of a deal.
I can't say the word, so I don't want to try to say. It's like decatastrophizing. I don't know. Whatever the word catastrophe, it's decatastrophizing.
Okay.
I can't say it.
I gotcha.
I've practiced the word. When I learned that word, I practiced like 1,000 times, and I could never get the word. I actually YouTubed how to say it.
Catastrophize.
Yeah, but that's the So if
okay.
I don't know, but
I don't know.
Sounds
probably
right.
sound like a total idiot
That's
trying to say that.
Yeah.
But I did.
We're dads.
It's on
Yeah.
YouTube.
We don't know, but it's all right.
When I
Sounds
learned
right.
the word, I'm like, how do you say this? So I'm listening to it on YouTube because you could like type in any word and
Right.
pronounce it for you. But those are the keys that I've learned just even from like I really went off the deep end on Stoic philosophy since our last time, and those were like the 4 big like that book I texted you a while ago. That was like life-changing book.
Really?
And I've read a ton since our last meeting too. Like I was trying to do 1 book a month, and then I found out about the Audible, so I've been listening to a lot of like the thrillers
Love
on
Audible.
there.
Yeah.
So now I'm on a big fiction kick.
Oh yeah, I want to talk to you about that.
Is that who does
Jack Carr.
Jack Carr. Oh,
Yeah.
amazing.
Dude, they're so good.
The
When
Forms-
COVID first started, I was doing a bunch of like remodeling in the centers, and if I was working with somebody, we'd just be listening to music. But there'd be times where I was on by myself, and I was like, all right, I can only do so much, hairband rock. Like it's my choice, but like just kind of repeats. And I was like, all right, I gotta listen to something. So I did Audible. And I was like, oh, this sounds kind of cool. Like, what's the first one called?
Terminal List.
Terminal List, yeah.
Yeah,
Actually, I
check this
think, no. I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast, and they had Jack Carr on there.
Okay.
And I was like, all right, this guy sounds cool, former SEAL, whatever.
Right.
I'm like, oh, he's an author. So I'm like, I looked up his book.
I did listen to Jack Carr on Rogan. I remember that because I
It was a
started
really
looking.
good podcast.
It
Like,
was
he's
phenomenal.
very well
Super-
spoken,
yeah, super smart guy.
really smart dude, and like, okay, not your typical like grunt type of guy.
Yeah.
He's
whatever.
like a weapon savant.
yeah,
He
yeah.
really finest details.
His writing is amazing.
Yeah.
And whoever narrates those
Ray Porter.
Ray Porter, yeah, like very, very good. Like he actually gets a lot of hate if you read the comments.
Really?
Like, oh yeah, he messes up his accents and fuck you, dude. He
keeps me
kept
on the
me
edge of my
so
seat.
entertaining.
Here's the thing, though. Those people that write those comments,
I know.
like, you're gonna get both sides.
You're right.
You know,
You're
those are
right.
the people that have like all that time to just be like, they have to shit on everything.
Yeah,
What's
you're
cool-
you're right.
What's cool about Jack Carr is every week he prints off the bad reviews and reads them.
Oh, does he
And
really?
laughs
Oh,
about it.
that's
Oh, that's
funny.
great. I love that.
The books are amazing.
So
Okay.
and his writing style is like right now I'm reading a Brad Thor book.
Okay.
And it's that geopolitical
Yeah,
thriller stuff.
yeah.
But it's a lot more wordy. And
Okay.
Jack Carr stuff, it seems I don't want to say it's not dumbed down. It's more
It's
like,
meant for me.
it's more like
I mean, seriously though, like
Yeah.
they're very easy. I mean, again, I was listening.
It's easy
not
listening,
reading.
you could read through them really fast.
Yeah, yeah.
I like
And
it.
like, they're like think like Born Identity 24,
Yeah.
like that style.
That's all, it's funny because like when I listened to that podcast, the Joe Rogan one, I was like, oh, I gotta check this guy out.
Yeah.
It's one of those things like
He's
oh, I
very
didn't-
unassuming looking. Like you don't think like he's skinny, older. He's probably 46,
Yeah.
47. But
Yeah,
sniper
they're really
and a
good.
SEAL.
All right, well, check it out. Love
They're
Audible.
really good. I might listen to those again, actually.
Yeah, so I might do a couple more of the fiction books and then go back onto the
Nonfiction
books about
stuff. Yeah,
learning.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, that's good.
But it's good to listen to that kind of stuff, though, man. I love.
It's definitely good to mix it
Yeah,
up.
I do.
Yeah.
I love it.
My
'Cause I can
father-
only do so much music, like you said. I like to listen to
Yeah.
people talk and just
my
all that kind of
father-in-law
shit.
would always tell me. He said, I would always try to read a book for entertainment, for my career, and to learn something. So if you're in management, read about management.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
You know, like for the longest time, I was really good into reading books. Like I used to love doing it, and then like Audible came along, and I was listening to podcasts. But like, what was that? Chuck Palahniuk?
Chuck Palahniuk,
Palahniuk? Is that
Yeah.
yeah?
Fight Club.
Yeah. So because you had a bunch of those
Yeah,
books, and I
yeah.
remember reading those books all the time, man, and I was like super like
They're
sucked
so,
into.
like, dude, that dude is fucking sick.
But those audible
Yes.
narrators really captivate you.
Yeah, they're good,
Yeah.
man. They're really good.
To be fair, I've bought some of those books
Because
and
of
it's
the-
got a bad narrator and it's tough.
Well, when they don't have the right narrator for it, it kind of sucks. You're like, damn it, man! I just bought this, and like,
And that's more like some of the I listen to a lot of marketing books or things that I try to improve on. If it's a bad narrator, I just.
but it's tough
gets
though because like
lost.
you do, and then you're like, okay, you
I
lose.
can't listen to this.
You can't
asshole talk
focus.
anymore.
As much as I love Jordan Peterson, like, I really enjoy his content and his material. I don't know if I could listen to him read his whole book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, like I get your saying. But I'm surprised Reporter gets some hate because, like I said, I would listen to them like on the way to work, on my lunch break.
If
on the
you
way
go
home.
and I mean, I don't think it's that important, but if you're really interested, like go read some of the there's quite a few comments of like, hey, the story's great, but this guy sucks because he did a Romanian accent for this character in
Like, who the
chapter
fuck
3,
cares,
but
man?
in chapter 9 they went to
You can
like,
use any accent you want. I'm not going to catch on to that part of it. I don't care.
The only time like I was like not even turned off. I think it was Savage Son. He had a cold. You can tell that he had a cold.
Oh, really?
But after a while, you're like,
I don't even think I remember, but I mean, yeah. I
But
mean,
those type of
people
things, I get
nitpick,
that.
I,
right?
should, I
get
shouldn't
that.
be surprised because there's fucking assholes everywhere. They're gonna knock down
Sure.
even the great ones.
Yeah.
Well, and they get their little piece of fame by
That's why people
by
love to write
somebody
their
like
comments.
us, the
Here what's-
talking dads, like talking about their review.
Yep,
even
and
though
here
I'm
we
not
go.
gonna name them.
Yeah,
so.
we'll name them off one by one.
So I appreciate that feedback from you guys.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah,
absolutely.
no, seriously, lots and lots of fun.
And I'm still trying to figure it out for myself.
We all are, man. But that's what we're here for, right?
That
To
makes
try
me
to figure it
feel
out.
good that You guys got a little.
Listen, the
benefit
first time
from
a
it.
dad comes in here and says they have it all figured out is the first time we end an episode and don't invite them back.
Yeah.
Because like
You
that's
know,
just
here's a better
unrealistic.
idea. You show me somebody who has it all figured out, and I'll show you a liar.
100%. Yeah.
That's all.
I mean,
That's
it's
all
true.
it is, right? Nobody has it all figured out.
But if we can kind of learn from each other and keep
Yeah,
it
for
going
sure.
and build,
And
that
that's what the whole
community.
goal is, right? I mean, we're sitting here talking about it, and it helps all of us out because
Right.
you could all take something from this.
Yeah.
We all can. I mean, I do every time.
It was really cool.
Yep.
After the last episode, a couple people texted me about little points of the
Good.
episode. So
That's
I was really
amazing.
That's great.
flattering. It was
That's,
I
really
love
that's
that.
incredible. I love to hear that.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
Good, man.
That's awesome.
We appreciate you coming back on. And thank
you
you for
for
bringing a
having me.
bottle.
Thank you. Yeah,
Thank
this
you for
is
the
really good
sausage.
stuff.
Let me know how you guys like the dried sausage. I hope
Well, the problem is
100%.
you gave us a lot, and that's going to be a problem for me because
I'm gonna crush it.
I know.
Well, if
I
you
fish
hate-
like potato chips.
If you hate it, I'll come and get it and I'll finish it for you.
Yeah, it's
There's no chance I'm going to
that's
hate
not
it.
gonna be a problem.
Talking to the wrong guys here.
All right, great. Okay.
Very cool.
Well, I hope you guys enjoy it. Let me know what you guys think of it.
Absolutely,
Absolutely.
man. We'll do a full review on it.
Absolutely. Thanks again for coming on and
Thanks again for
hanging
having
out
me.
with us again. We
Absolutely.
will do it again, 100%.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Steve, why don't you tell everyone where they can text us?
Oh, you could text us at. You want me to say the number?
Yeah, because I
It's right here.
don't have it memorized, and you can see
So
it.
you could text us at 216-279-8475. We got to memorize that number like a radio station.
We'll have it. Yeah,
216-279-8475. Get a hold of the Talking Dads.
we'll get it. But this is a new community that we're starting, all via text. It's not like some big mass text thing. You just get it by yourself.
Individual text, yeah.
I think there's a lot of applications that can really help. Hopefully we can do some like one-on-one sessions if someone's having a time with something, exclusive content, things like that
Yeah.
that we're working on. So we'll see. It's just
See where
another
it goes,
tool that we're going to try and work with. So that should be a lot of fun. Of course, follow us on all the socials. Go to the website, www.thetalkingdads.com. Bourbon reviews on Wednesdays.
Cookies Mondays.
We got to do some more of those bourbon reviews. We're running behind.
We got some bourbon, but we're not drinking it.
Yeah.
We need to drink it.
Yeah.
What I like about your guys' reviews is I'm a big one on the bottle too. The shape of the bottle.
I think
story.
normal guys are.
Yeah.
Right?
Right?
Like it's like you see
Like
the bottle, you see the story on it, you see the label,
Yeah.
I
the shape.
I love Eagle Rare.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't like the bottle.
You know?
I prefer more of the
I mean, this is like the same bottle.
I know.
Okay.
But like if I was gonna produce a bourbon, I
Yeah.
would go like Prohibition style, like an Old Forester bottle,
Okay.
like a Wild Turkey
Okay.
bottle,
Yeah,
even,
yeah.
or a Basil Hayden bottle.
Yeah.
without all the
something
stupid
like
paper.
something it stands out.
Okay.
Yeah, or a Pap bottle. Something that's like
Well, I will
closer
say
to a
this:
wine
like I
bottle.
remember when I went to a liquor store and they had they had 3 bottles of Eagle Rare sitting on the shelf, and it was right next to the Cleveland whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
It was like hidden on the shelf next to it because they look
Yeah,
pretty similar.
it's right
It's
there.
that wine-looking
It's
bottle.
that tall wine bottle, yeah.
Yeah, people were passing it up because they didn't notice it was like Eagle Rare. I called you. I was like, "Hey, do you
Well,
need a
that was
bottle of
back
Eagle?"
in the day, too.
But that's one of your reviews that I agree with big time on. Is I judge the book by a cover.
Yeah.
And I look at the bottle.
Well,
I prefer like a nicer bottle.
again, whiskey is an experience, not just a liquid.
Yeah,
I just made that up.
that was beautiful. It was beautiful.
That was
But it is,
profound.
though,
that
like,
was profound. Ian.
I enjoy drinking whiskey with you guys. Not that I don't drink it at home by myself if, once the kids go to bed or something
Yeah.
like that. But it's just not nearly as enjoyable, right?
No.
It tastes different. It
But how
feels
cool is it to like
different.
to share it with somebody? Like there's a guy,
the
young
whole
guy I
thing.
work with. He's like, I want to start getting into bourbon. He's like, because I've been sitting at home with my fiance and like we're not going out, and I'm not gonna sit there and drink like 5-10 beers, just hanging
Yeah,
out. Like
seriously.
he's like, so I want to start getting into bourbon. He's like, I start trying a little bit. I'm like, I got you. So I get the little sample bottles. I sent him 4 bottles. I gave him Blanton's, Eagle Rare, Weller Antique, and E.H. Taylor. Give him 4 samples. Those are phenomenal.
Crush the Buffalo Trace, yeah.
Yeah, I want to cross
give
the
'em
board,
all,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, you want some? I'm like, here, try these out. So he's
Really
trying
is-
them this weekend. I gave him a list of like all the stats.
Yeah.
I'm like, give these a try. See what you.
So cool.
And he's like,
That's
he's
like
pumped,
running-
man. He's like,
that's
I'm gonna come
running-
back to you on Mondays. I'm gonna try these out. My fiance and I are going to a little trip. We're gonna get like a hotel. We're just gonna go hang out, and I'm like, yeah, give it a try, man. Let me know what you guys think.
It's
So
like if you ran a dating service and gave them all supermodels. for the first-
literally, right? I'm
Yeah,
like, here you go,
seriously.
buddy. I'm like, here's some good stuff. So
You're never
You
gonna
ruined
find,
this guy. He's going to
Yeah.
go buy,
He's
you're
gonna
never
be
gonna
going
find
down.
it. You're never gonna find this anywhere.
yeah, but here you go, man. And don't bother me because it's all you're getting. I'm running low on the Taylor and the Blanton. Actually, no, I have like 4 bottles of Blantons now. I had a good, 1. I had a good few months
You'll be
there.
getting some texts.
Yeah.
Secondary price.
Right.
But thanks, guys, for having me.
Yeah,
Happy
absolutely. Thanks for coming back, man. It was a lot of fun.
Happy Easter and have a
Yeah, you
happy
too, buddy.
Easter. well wishes to you and the fam.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Same to you.
Have fun, man, this weekend.
And
It's
we'll
gonna
do
be
it
a good
again
time.
soon, all right?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right, cool.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks,
you.
Pete. We will see you guys next time. Love you all.
Thank you.
Peace.
Cheers. Hey, guys, if you love what you just heard or watched, and we know you did, do us a solid and hit that thumbs up. Share with your friends and throw us a comment, literally about anything. Your support legit keeps us going. Oh, and don't forget to give us that 5-star rating. We really appreciate you.